Well, as the nation prepares for a final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, I'm here in Codsall in South Staffordshire as everyone here is preparing for a day of picnics, barbecues and a whole lot of celebration, of course, weather permitting. It's all part of the big Jubilee lunch being held right across the UK. Good morning to you. It is 6 o'clock on Sunday, the 5th of June. It is still a Jubilee Bank Holiday weekend, and this is breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. We're the People's Channel, of course. It's why we're out and about today, and we are live on your TV, on your radio and online. And this is what you're waking up to this morning. More than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches will be held across the UK today as Platinum Jubilee celebrations finally draw to a close. Last night, millions watched as Prince Charles and Prince William paid a special tribute to the Queen at a star-studded Party at the Palace concert. Artists including Alicia Keys, Rod Stewart and Diana Ross entertained the crowds outside Buckingham Palace as Prince George and Princess Charlotte watched on. Well, the monarch surprised everyone with a special cameo appearance alongside everyone's favourite bear, Paddington.
And in other news today, the Prime Minister will attempt this week to shift the focus on from the Partygate scandal. Boris Johnson's going to announce plans on how to tackle the NHS backlog built up during the pandemic. Hello there. I'm in the studio. Stephen's out in the rain. Don't forget you can send in your views to both me and Stephen on anything we're talking about this morning by emailing us gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Well, it is the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, with more than 85,000 street parties across the UK all being prepped right now as part of the big Jubilee lunch. Well, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall will join the public for a lunch at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London. Today we'll also see the Platinum Jubilee Pageant march up the Mall, depicting iconic moments from the Queen's 70-year reign. Meanwhile, last night's Platinum Jubilee party at the Palace was met with huge praise. Performances from Sir Elton John, George Ezra, Craig David, Eurovision runner-up Sam Ryder, all filling the star-studded lineup. Sadly, the Queen wasn't able to attend due to her ongoing mobility problems. But it really is something quite special. Her Majesty was able to feature in an opening sketch alongside another iconic British figure. Let's have a look.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here.
Oh.
For later.
Happy Jubilee, ma'am. And thank you for everything.
That's very kind.
I just think that is absolutely lovely. I don't know why, it just works. Alongside me to discuss all the events is royal commentator and broadcaster Rafe Heddle-Mankoo. Good to see you once again.
Hello.
Welcome to Codsall. I mean, this is a little bit typical, I think, of what people are going to be facing today. It is pretty wet and pretty cold at the moment.
It's pretty wet, pretty cold.
But it's not going to dampen our spirits, is it?
Well, actually, if you think about it, on the Queen's coronation, June 2nd, 1953, that was a complete washout as well. The Diamond Jubilee and the pageant that took place 10 years ago, complete washout. So, in a way, this is keeping with yet another glorious royal British tradition, so we shouldn't be that negative about it.
There's lots to talk about what happened last night, but I've got to start with Paddington Bear and Her Majesty, because, I mean, I don't know when that was recorded, but wasn't that just lovely?
I have to say, that was absolutely the cherry on the cake. I mean, viewers will remember the opening for the Olympic Games in 2012, when the Queen was paired with the other great British icon, James Bond, and there's definitely elements of that here, pairing the Queen with another great British icon, Paddington Bear. And I have to say, the Queen put in an Oscar-worthy performance.
Didn't she
Wasn't
just?
she amazing? I was really so happy and engaged. I just thought it was a really fantastically good performance from Her Majesty.
I just thought when she got her marmalade sandwich out of the bag, she had a twinkle in her eye, which I thought was just really lovely.
And then, of course, after that, we had the opening by Queen, and Her Majesty and Paddington Bear were chiming in with the applause for We Will Rock You on their teacups and saucers. So, well, very well executed and put together. And as indeed was the whole event. I mean, you know, I think the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge put it perfectly in a tweet in 3 words. They just said, "What a show." And it really was a spectacular show against that great backdrop of Buckingham Palace with a magnificent light display and drones there as well. Brian May opening in 2012. He'd been on top of the 2002 rather, on top of the palace, now in front of the Victoria Memorial. Really good on all fronts. And of course, opened by Queen the band, closed by another Queen, the Queen of Motown, Diana Ross.
Yes.
So a very regal occasion.
Fabulous, wasn't it? Absolutely fabulous. But what have we got to look forward to today, then?
Well, apart from getting wet.
It's worth it.
The big Jubilee lunches today, so there are going to be 100,000 street parties and private gatherings taking place across the nation, because the Queen's also very keen to ensure that this is not just a chance to celebrate her, but to celebrate our nation, celebrate your communities. After 2 years of COVID, people need to have a break, get out to meet those neighbours that they've been living next door to, haven't actually got to see. And then we've got to have the great Jubilee Pageant taking place at 2:30, going down Whitehall and then down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. Huge show, thousands of participants in that show. There'll be marching bands and parades. There'll be a celebration of the Queen's life, every decade of the Queen's life, and we'll see buses dedicated to each decade. So we're going to have Sir Cliff Richard from the 50s, and Dame Shirley Bassey will be there as well. Some amazing characters from the history of Britain over the last 70 years, all culminating in Ed Sheeran leading a National Treasure choir at Buckingham Palace to sing God Save the Queen.
I mean, it will be quite an event, you have to say. And whatever's happening with the weather today, the last 4 days have been spectacular.
They've been spectacular, and they've also actually, I think, given a bit of a boost to the nation. You know, we need a bit. Times are tough. And I think this has been just what the nation needed. You could get that sense on the streets in London during trooping and elsewhere. And as I've seen with Vox Pops on the streets throughout the country, everyone's in a bit of a happier spirit. You know, when the Queen's coronation came, we were in a period of economic tightening, and that gave the nation a boost after rationing and so forth. And I think this is doing something similar.
It's interesting. I mean, inevitably, there's a lot of focus on London because of Buckingham Palace. That's where a lot of the big events have been held. But there is a real sense that this is a nationwide thing, isn't it? When we're here in Codsall, in South Staffordshire, there are events going on right across the length and breadth of our great nation.
Indeed, and indeed the Commonwealth, because there are hundreds of parties taking place in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all over the Commonwealth. The thing is, you see, in this country, we don't have a national war of independence or a revolution to celebrate. So most countries every year get a chance to get the bunting out and wave the flags. For us, it's only really royal weddings, jubilees, coronations, and those don't come around very often. So when we do have the chance to celebrate, a 4-day weekend is the way to do it, I think. So some people may think it's over the top, but once every 10 years, giving yourself a 4-day celebration, I think is perfectly fine.
Quite right, too. Rafe, thank you. We're going to catch up with Rafe throughout the course of the morning, and he'll be taking us through the papers as well a little bit later on. Now, tens of thousands of celebrations are taking place today as part of that big Jubilee lunch. Some people were so eager to enjoy themselves that they had their parties yesterday, fair enough. And our East Midlands reporter Will Hollis joined one street party in Lincolnshire for their special occasion.
The streets are shut and the barbecues, well, they're burning. It's a sure sign of a British party. But what's the occasion?
For the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
And this party in Grantham's been given the royal seal of approval. On the menu today, a platinum pudding that's given Clive a few sleepless nights.
Well, the lemon jelly was really difficult to find, and the amaretti biscuits, and I'm assuming because it's the Platinum Jubilee pudding that everybody else is making it as well.
Street parties have become the epitome of British tradition, nearly as much as the weather.
My lovely hat, it keeps flowing away. It's hard to keep on.
Few people alive today can remember the Queen's coronation, but Hazel hasn't forgotten her father's either.
I can remember King George's coronation. I was about 6 and I was on my father's shoulders so that I could see the princesses going by.
It's been a long reign for our Elizabeth. Janet's 85 and her memory stretches back through all of it.
I mean, I've seen now a Silver Jubilee where we had street parties, a Golden Jubilee where I don't think there were so many street parties around for that, and then the Diamond one, and now this one. So I've seen 4 Jubilees. I think it's the backbone of England. There's nobody like the British who are doing pageantry. I don't know that it happens in any other country. And I think our royal family are great ambassadors for our country. And they've done a lot for our country throughout the world. I think our Queen is respected throughout the world, and so she should be. She's done a marvellous job. She said at her coronation that she would devote her life to a country, whether her life was long or short, and she has done that. And we're so proud of her.
3 cheers for the Queen! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray!
The Jubilee is a thank you to the Queen, but also a celebration of her country's community. Will Hollis for GB News in the East Midlands.
Good fun yesterday where Will was, and of course there'll be plenty of fun all across the country today, despite the weather. No, don't let it get you down. It doesn't matter. Let's head back to London now. Let's check in on Anne. I bet you wish you were here, Anne, this morning.
Yes. I tell you what, when I thought that I was going to join you up there, I was going to bring you this hat. You need it, don't you?
That would have been quite useful, actually, Anne.
I hope.
But it is wet and windy here. But you know what? I've got all my fingers crossed that it is going to ease off a little bit as the hours progress. So I'm hopeful. I think we'll be all right.
Oh, yes, I think it's a test of the great British spirit, isn't it? You know, we are very good, as that lady just said. We're very good at pageantry, but we're also very good at the stiff upper lip and putting up with the weather and still managing to make things fun. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, and hopefully I'm looking forward to chatting to a few people here in Consulan when they wake up a little bit later on this morning and get prepped for this big day here. It's going to be quite something, I can tell you. There's loads of flags and all sorts around, so hopefully it'll be a day full of celebration.
And I'm loving the bow tie. For the benefit of people who are listening on the radio, a very good morning to you. Stephen is sporting, I've never seen you in a bow tie before, but it's a Union Jack bow tie. Very, very nicely done.
Couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. I thought this is it's the one day I could wear it on British television, so I thought, why not?
Yeah, go for it, absolutely. And I totally agree with you, the Paddington Bear moment was, that is the highlight of the whole weekend for me, because I loved them both, the Queen and Paddington Bear.
Wasn't it lovely? And I say, it's just that little twinkle in her eye when she pulls the sandwich out of her handbag. I just think that's a little piece of magic.
We've always wondered what was in the Queen's handbag, and now we know. Brilliant stuff. OK, Stephen, we'll come and join you a bit later on. Is it actually raining? I think I can hear sort of quite a lot. I don't know. I hope things will cheer up there in Cotswold. Wherever you are today, let us know what your plans are. How are you going to mark the Jubilee today? Are you going to go ahead with a street party, even if it rains? We'd love to hear from you. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Now, of course, there are other things in the news, and Boris Johnson is going to have to double down on his efforts to tackle NHS backlogs and cut waiting times with apparently £36 billion worth of investment for health and social care. This comes as, of course, he attempts to draw a line under the Partygate scandal and to move on. To tell us more, I'm joined in the studio by journalist Benedict Spence. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you like the Paddington Bear moment?
Absolutely adored it. It was the only bit that really spoke to me.
Me too.
Given that she's appeared on screen alongside Daniel Craig, and he has been a magnificent foil for, amongst other people, Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman. I thought that it was a really good sort of meeting of two great acting titans of their generation, and don't get enough credit or enough screen time, in my opinion.
But, I mean, today is the last day, really, of the Jubilee knockabout, and we're going to have to move on with real life. And the Prime Minister...
We have to?
Well, I think so. And the Prime Minister is having to understand that himself and try and change the agenda away from Partygate. Is he going to succeed?
Well, my personal opinion, I don't think that he is. Of course, this is the new story that's come out today, that the Prime Minister's big plan to sort of move on from Partygate and sort of re-win back the trust of the nation and of his party is the NHS now. There's lots of reasons why that might be, quite a sound move. The NHS is still sort of very much at the top in terms of what people look to, in terms of what they're proud of in this
very,
country.
very close to our hearts.
It is very, very close to their hearts, but there's no question that it's taken a real battering over the last few years. That's obvious why. But of course, also over the years, there's always an NHS crisis just around the corner. It is something that is woefully mismanaged, doesn't actually do very well, if we're being honest. And it is one of the great sort of mysteries of this country that we sort of cling to it quite so keenly, given that when you compare it to just about every other developed world on the planet, it is the worst one, bar the American system. That they are right at the bottom.
Yet we keep saying, don't we? We keep telling ourselves it's the best in the world.
Well, because it was the first of its kind in the world. But the problem is, if you have the first one and then you don't change it or improve it over time, and everybody else goes, that works, that doesn't, we'll take this bit and we'll take that, and we'll leave this bit that doesn't work, then you do end up sort of stuck in the past. And that is, I think, very much the kind of system that we have is one that is outdated, it's creaking, and it's just gone through a pandemic, and it has an ageing population with a lot of people with very chronic or lifestyle-based illnesses and diseases, which it wasn't necessarily intended for. So obviously, it's the thing that we always talk about is the NHS is on its knees. It's got however many days until it collapses. Thus far, it has not collapsed. Thus far, it has also not been sold off, even though we've had over a decade of Conservative rule, despite what the Labour Party are constantly telling us that it's just around the corner as well. But this is what Boris Johnson thinks is going to be the big thing to distract us all from Partygate, to persuade us all that he's moved on and that it's not an issue. The problem really has to be, has it come way, way, way too late down the line, actually, for this to be salvageable?
I mean, when is he actually going to announce it? And is he going to announce any detail at all about, like, where the money's coming from and where it will go? Because governments don't like tinkering with the NHS because it looks very bad, it's not a vote winner. Just sinking money into it is going to maybe be a waste if it's not done strategically.
Well, of course, unless it comes from tax rises, then it's coming from borrowing, which at some point will be reflected in tax, or a stultified economy at some point anyway. And of course, that's the bit that nobody really ever wants to talk about, is how much the health service costs. As a proportion of the national spending, it is vast. And, I think when people look at that in the round and they step back and they go, well, hang on, how can it be that we're spending so much more money, for example, on health rather than, say, education, and yet the health service is still doing so poorly? The announcements are set to come this week. The difficulty, of course, with that is, as was revealed in the Times yesterday, the threshold in terms of letters posted into the 1922 committee as to whether or not there is confidence the Prime Minister might have already been met, at which point...
We don't know, do we?
Well, we don't know, but that is the suggestion that actually, there are stronger whispers now, I think, than at any point that actually that threshold has been crossed, and that there will be a leadership challenge soon. And that is incredibly difficult to call what will happen there. A lot of people saying, well, in terms of people who haven't put their letters in, but who might be persuaded to vote against Boris Johnson, there might also be the numbers there. Finally, that's not been the case up until now, but there is increasing, I think, disillusionment with the Prime Minister. As we head to the next set of by-elections that are coming up, increasingly it looks like the Lib Dems will do well in one, and in Wakefield, where the Labour Party crumbled, increasingly it looks like the Labour Party might come back.
That would be a heck of a blow, wouldn't it?
It would be, and it is that question, a bit like when we have the local elections. The Tories were saying, well, let's wait until the local elections, let's see what the results are. It's that continuation of, well, how much longer can you continue to wait? And if Boris Johnson, his big plan is to roll out, more money for the NHS, big revamping of the NHS, that could take a very long time to see any sort of impact.
Well, the announcement might look good. A lot of cynics will just say, hang on.
And a lot of Tory MPs would sit there and go, well, actually, do we have the time to wait and see if Boris Johnson's... will he succeed where all other Prime Ministers effectively have failed, which is, getting a handle on NHS spending and on its performance? Let's be honest, it's not really since the last Labour government that actually there's been any sort of positive trends when it comes to the NHS. Is Boris Johnson really the man to do it? I would suggest, actually, that there's not a lot of confidence within the party that he would be the person to do that, especially if his support is dissipating.
So things are going to get very interesting over the next week or so.
Always are.
Yeah. So they are, and it doesn't stop, does it? Benedict, thanks very much indeed. Right, what time is it? If I had a clock, I'd tell you. Oh, yeah, here we are. It's 19 minutes past 6. A very good morning to you. This is, as usual, Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. Stephen is in Codsall in the West Midlands, under the rain, I think. I think they're trying to pray for sunshine. Hopefully it will join him later. I'm here in the dry, and Tamsin is here with today's top stories.
And thank you very much. Good morning. It's 6:19. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert last night, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection. Well, millions are set to gather for street parties across the country today, with more than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the Long Walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. It's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. To other news now, tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. This week, the Prime Minister will update the country on how the NHS is dealing with the COVID-19 backlog. Boris Johnson described work being done by the government as the NHS's biggest ever catch-up programme. Meanwhile, Health Secretary Sajid Javid says the government is putting more money into health and social care than any other has done before, but there is no quick fix. It's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko has died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled that he was one of 2 men who poisoned Mr Litvinenko at a London hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Japan has condemned North Korea after it carried out what's believed to be its largest ever ballistic missile test. The country test-fired 8 short-range missiles from the capital, Pyongyang. Japan's defence minister says the test cannot be tolerated. It comes just a day after South Korea and the United States ended joint military drills. That's all from me for now. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens.
And this is Good Morning, and it's breakfast with Stephen and Anne, but it's slightly different today because of the Jubilee preparations. Stephen's up in Codsall in the West Midlands preparing for a big street party. I'm here in the studio, but the most important thing is to hear from you. Please get in touch. What was your favourite bit of the party last night? Mine was Paddington Bear, there's no doubt about it. Love to hear from you. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Back with you in a moment.
Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK will be cloudy with outbreaks of thundery rain in central and southern areas, drier and brighter elsewhere. Here's the details. Southwest England will be rather cloudy, especially towards the northeast, with some showers at times. There'll also be some bright or sunny spells, these mainly in the west. It will remain mostly cloudy in the southeast, with showery rain becoming lighter and patchier. Some bright or sunny spells may also develop in the south. South Wales will also be mostly cloudy with hill fog in places. There will also be outbreaks of showery rain, which will tend to ease. It'll be a cool feeling day across the Midlands, and it will remain cloudy or overcast throughout. Outbreaks of heavy, at times thundery rain will ease and turn patchier from the south. The northeast of England will remain generally dry, although cloud will steadily increase from the south, with sunny spells in the north. A fresh easterly breeze will also limit temperatures along the coast. It'll be another fine day across southern Scotland. There'll be plenty of sunshine on offer here and remain dry for all, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. Northern Ireland will also have a dry day. It'll be sunny here for most, with just a little bit of fair weather cloud at times, also feeling pleasant in the sunshine. So rain edging north and easing a little, drier to the north and south with sunny spells here. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning, Anne Diamond here in the studio. Stephen is in Codsall in the West Midlands this morning because they're preparing for a big street party in the park, actually, there. So we'll go back and join him a bit later on. But I was saying the most important thing is that you get in touch today. GBviews at gbnews.uk. Paul has already been in touch from Hawaii. He says, I would just like to say how much the people here in Hawaii are loving watching the Queen and the Jubilee. Here in Hawaii, they love the British for saying that we would protect them back in the days of the wooden tall ships. They even put the Union flag on the top left of their own flag, and it's still there today to say thank you. It makes me feel so proud to be British when so many people have so many nice things to say about the UK. It has been the most glorious few days, hasn't it? But there are other things on the agenda, and I'm here to bring them to you. Don't forget, though, to get in touch, gbviews at gbnews.uk. A new study released today states that short power naps may benefit people working night shifts like doctors and nurses in the NHS. The study states that naps reduce the natural sleep pressure that occurs between 2 and 6 a.m. Well, for more on this, because I'm always fascinated by sleep and how to get it, I'm joined by sleep expert Dr. Narina Ramlakhan. Hello there.
Hello, Anne. Good morning.
Anyone who's ever worked shifts knows that, that's all you think about is when you're going to get your sleep and how to bank sleep at all. Do you think that the concept of a power nap would be useful to learn?
I think it absolutely would. For 25 years, I've been helping people to sleep, and I've worked with a lot of people in critical risk environments where they're working under conditions where they have to sustain a level of performance, sustained operations. And the research certainly indicates that taking recovery breaks and power naps can really help them to recoup some energy so that they don't, as the study suggests, that period of time between 2 and 6, where the sleep drive has really built up and fatigue can set in, exhaustion can set in, and mistakes can be made. And, in the case of the NHS, critical mistakes can be made. So, for patients, but for their own health, and they're looking after people, so they need to look after themselves. A power nap could be really powerful.
A power nap? And how long does it go on for? And how can you turn it on?
Yeah, there are different types of naps. So a power nap needs to be done scientifically. A power nap is anything between 10 to 20 minutes. and you do it, ideally, if you're not working shifts, so we can all benefit from them. If you're not working shifts, you do it at some point between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. Now, a lot of people say, I could never nap, and because they think it's sleeping. It's not sleeping. It's taking yourself to a state of relaxation. So you might sit, just as I am right now, with your eyes closed, maybe with your feet on the ground, just breathing, just bringing your awareness to your breathing. You might think that nothing is happening, but actually physiologically, the body starts to decompress. And measurably, when someone comes out of a 10-minute relaxation state, that's what I prefer to call it, you come out of that relaxation state, your mental performance will be enhanced, your energy levels will be a little bit better, so that you're in a better position to focus, to concentrate, to make good decisions. So it's a 10 to 20-minute relaxation state for most of us at some point between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. But for people working throughout the night, they can do this during their shifts, obviously, if it's allowed, in a safe space, ideally sitting, not lying down, not getting under a duvet, because otherwise you'll drop down into deep sleep and it'll be difficult to come out of it.
Yes, that's just what I was going to ask you, is whether lying down and going to bed for an hour is the same thing, but it's not, because I've tried that, and you do go into a deep sleep and it's hell trying to get out of it.
Yeah, you'll come out of that with something called sleep inertia, because you go into the deep stages of sleep. So a 1-hour nap is a different type of nap. So when you're, if you've worked a night shift and you get back, you go to bed for as long as you can, and you allow yourself to sleep for as long as you can, because you're trying to recoup those lost hours. And you know, let's face it, working shifts can really wreak havoc on your health. Past the age of about 35 to 40, it depends on your genetics and how much you're looking after yourself. It really can impact on your health. So when you come off your shift, you want to be able to get into bed and sleep. But those power naps are the ones that kind of mop up the fatigue and help to top up your concentration and enhance focus and concentration. So if you're making those decisions and you need to be sharp, they can help you.
I bet a lot of people watching right now and hearing you will be a bit like me. They'll think, oh, well, I could try it, but I won't be able to stop my mind racing. My mind will be thinking of things that I really ought to be getting up and doing. So is this a skill you have to learn and train yourself to do?
Yes, and you can. And the more you just focus on, maybe don't even call it sleeping, call it rest. I'm going to have a 20-minute rest. And all you need to do is find that safe space, find a comfortable space. Don't get too comfortable. Remember, if it's a power nap, sit, spine supported, eyes closed. Listen to the noise in your head, but keep using your breathing as a focus. Keep coming back to the breath. Maybe you would silently repeat the words in and out as you breathe. And you know, there are lots of apps. I have meditations available as well that people can listen to that will guide them into a state of relaxation. But at the end of the day, this isn't about doing something fluffy or woo-woo. This is about doing something that measurably will enhance cognitive performance and take some of that excitation or static out of the nervous system, so that when you do come off your shift, you go to bed, you're actually in a more conducive state to rest. Because a lot of people find that when they come off their shift, they're almost too wired and they can't sleep. They're tired but wired.
And the best time to do it is between 2 and 4 in the afternoon?
Yes, if you've come off your shifts and you can work them. But during the night, you can do this to mop up fatigue. And I've seen airline pilots doing this as well. Obviously, they've got a co-pilot, but, you know, I've seen don't worry. Yes. But, you know, they'll go off into a little space and just have a 20-minute nap.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fascinating stuff. I'm so going to try it this afternoon. Nerina, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's absolutely fascinating. And I know that anyone watching at the moment who, like me, has sort of spent half their life doing shift patterns and things like that will know that you become obsessed with sleep, and it's so important to try and get it right. But the concept of the power nap could be really brilliant. Get in touch with us, actually, and tell us what you think. gbviews at gbnews.uk. Do you power nap? How do you do it? Stay with us. We've got plenty more to come. Stephen, of course, is taking a look through the papers up there in Codsall in the West Midlands with Neil Oliver and Rafe Haldell-Mancoon.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning to you. It's 6:36. We're live in Codsall this morning as we prepare to celebrate with that big Jubilee lunch. People here are going to be getting ready. I think they may be doing some of the prep in their kitchens this morning because it is a little bit wet, but it is, I dare to say, easing off from what it was first thing this morning. So hopefully things will continue to improve. Loads of you getting in touch this morning. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Catherine, morning to you, Catherine. Now, I need to see you this morning, Catherine, because she says, it's good to see you in Codsall. I'm in Shifnal, 10 miles away. Love the bow tie. Thank you very much. So come on down a little bit later on, maybe 8, 9 o'clock, and come and say hello. Annette says that I make you smile this morning. Is that because I'm being very British and just putting it with the weather? I love to follow your show from sunny South Sweden. Well, I hope you're having a nice time in Sweden this morning. Are you marking the Jubilee there at all? Pete in the West Midlands says the Platinum concert was outstanding, brilliant, uplifting, energetic, a true tribute to a fantastic Queen, and I believe was enjoyed and will be remembered for many, many years. I look forward to getting hold of a DVD of the concert. It was, Pete, wasn't it? Quite something, you have to say. It was quite an amazing event. My favourite part was Paddington Bear. I just thought that was magical for some reason. Let us know what you think. gbviews at gbnews.uk. Let's have a look at the newspapers for you this morning. And we'll start with the Mail on Sunday. It has a picture from the Queen's cameo appearance alongside Paddington Bear with the headline, Marmalade, Your Majesty. Rock and roll, says the Sunday Mirror, with a picture of Brian May, Dr. Brian May, kicking off the party at the Palace last night. Great man that he is. Sunday Times has a picture of the Queen having tea with Paddington Bear, saying it was a party of a lifetime for the world's grandmother. And the Sunday Express quotes Prince Charles, who said, "Thank you for being there, Mummy." OK, let's go through the papers then in a bit more detail. And joining us once again, royal broadcaster and commentator Rafe Edel-Mankou and our very own Neil Oliver. Good to see you both this morning. Rafe, let's kick off with a bit of that Paddington Bear, should we? I just can't resist.
Yes, no, absolutely. Can I just say that I'm having a bit of déjà vu because for the Diamond Jubilee 10 years ago, I did the 6 a.m. paper review in the freezing cold and the rain. So to me, this is a bit of a tradition I'm having with my own Jubilees. But yes, when you first get to meet a member of the royal family or the Queen, you're advised by royal courtiers to say ma'am as in jam, but today it's ma'am as in marmalade. And the Queen had this wonderful little comic moment with Paddington Bear, two great British icons uniting, and we finally got to discover what's in the Queen's handbag. For generations we've wondered about this. Now we know it's marmalade sandwiches. And it was a wonderful way to set off, in a very British cheeky way, to set off the Platinum Jubilee celebration, including the Queen and Paddington Bear tapping in Queen's We Will Rock You on their teacups before they began to play.
There was something just a little bit special about that, wasn't there? Because we get to see a lighter side of the Queen, which we don't often see in public.
I mean, clearly there was huge response to the James Bond episode, you know, for the Olympics, you know, which went in incredibly well. I like the fact that it was James Bond that time around, and Michael Bond is the author of the Paddington books. A little bit of continuity there. Yeah, whoever came up with it, I think it's a small work of genius. You know, Paddington is a strangely traditional figure, given that he comes from darkest, deepest Peru. But there's something quintessentially, I suppose, English about Paddington Bear in his attitudes and the inherent comedy in it. But yeah, lovely moment, I suppose.
Yeah. Looking at the event itself last night, Rafe. I mean, the Sunday Mirror's got a lot of this. I mean, a lot of rock and roll, which you sort of can't imagine in ways, particularly the Queen's cup of tea. But she's catering for the wider audience there, isn't she?
Yes, it's more of a party for the people rather than a platinum party for the Queen. You know, the Queen's favourite singer was George Formby, which I'm a huge fan of, but I'm not quite sure when I'm cleaning windows would electrify the crowd in quite the same way as some of the more recent performances that we saw, including, you know, Andrew Lloyd Webber doing musicals as well. It was quite a smorgasbord.
With Jason Donovan.
Jason Donovan, you know, who I remember fondly from Neighbours' time, in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Andrea Bocelli brought a tear to Camilla's eye when he sang Nessun Dorma. There was something for everyone in that, I think. And, of course, the great stalwarts, which everyone always relies on for Jubilees, Elton John, Rod Stewart, wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, are you a man of music, Neil?
I just enjoyed the fact, I think after the 2 years that the nation has had, I think anything where you see a gathering of the multitude in that way, you know, all of the images of the sheer volume of people that had come together, you know, which completely casts aside notions of there being any kind of lack of patriotism in the country. I mean, the whole thing just underlined that when you get down to the grassroots, when you get down to the people, there is a natural, genuine, heartfelt love of country, love of tradition, love of pageantry, love of heritage. And I think whatever event had been thrown last night, and whichever individuals were there on the stage, I think it was really about the people. I think it was really a celebration, a spontaneous coming together of the people, which was so much needed after 2 years of all the atomised separation, not being to get together.
You can really see that in terms of the number of street parties, which far exceed those of 10 years ago, far exceed those of the Golden Jubilee. We're on the level sort of the Silver Jubilee of 1977, and Britain has transformed so dramatically. Nobody would have imagined now that there would be 100,000 street parties. We don't know how many of them are going to take place now, but at least as of yesterday, 100,000 street parties taking place in some form across the country.
I think that aspect is something that the present politicians of all stripes have a deaf ear for. They've got a tin ear for the natural enthusiasms of the vast majority of the population. And I think the natural enthusiasm that was brought out by and was with the Jubilee being its focal point, it underlines that in that love of country that I think the political parties have just been deaf to.
I was going to say, what do you make of it all, Neil? Because, I mean, you're a man who I fondly remember watching, sort of walking around the coast of Britain a few years ago.
I fondly remember that.
But, you know, so you've got to, through that line of work, if nothing else, you've got to meet all different sorts of people and different communities and different views on the UK. And this is something which I think brings people together, but does stretch from tail to top.
Yes, one of the many aspects of Britain that I grew to love through that project was the variety. You know, it's an island of tribes, but there are many different types of peoples, you know, who are brought together as one. Many accents, many ways of life. It's such a rich tapestry. But at times and when required, the place comes together as one, and there are unifying characteristics in the country. And given the opportunity to come together for something like the Jubilee, then you see the inherent union of the people. And I think it can be, I think some people like to sneer at it and to look down at it, but it's a big mistake to do that because it's innate, inherent, and given the opportunity, the people come together to mark these events.
But is that why the royal family is important? Because although they technically don't hold any power now, and there's always calls by the Republicans and what have you to try and move on, but it does give us that one unifying point, does it? That perhaps we would lose without them.
And I think, though, perhaps uniquely, really now in the personality, the character of the Queen herself. I mean, that irreplaceable continuity of someone whose reign spanned 70 years, from Churchill and through all of the here today, gone tomorrow politicians that are the stepping stones. She has always been there. And that kind of continuity that you have from a monarch is not to be rivalled by that of a president or whoever has a couple of terms and then is replaced by someone else. And as David Starkey on this channel and others have pointed out, that the countries that have been most stable and most resilient have been those that have constitutional monarchies of the sort that we have. And our constitutional monarchy at the moment, under the Queen, with that reign of 70 years, stands supreme.
Oh, I like that. It stands supreme. Perfect. Neil, Rafe, we've got to leave it there for now, but we'll catch you both a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed. It is 6:46. Let's have a look at the rest of the news for you this morning with Tamsin.
Stephen, thank you. Good morning. It's 6:46. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert last night, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection. While millions are set to gather for 1,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the long walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. And it's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. In other news, tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. It's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko has died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled that he was one of 2 men who poisoned Mr Litvinenko at a London hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Japan has condemned North Korea after it carried out what's believed to be its largest ever ballistic missile test. The country test-fired 8 short-range missiles from the capital, Pyongyang. Japan's defence minister says the test cannot be tolerated. It comes just a day after South Korea and the United States ended joint military drills. That's all from me for now. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens, of course.
Good morning. It's 6:49 and it's a slightly different breakfast with Stephen and Anne this morning because I'm in London in studio and Stephen is preparing for a great big street party in Codsall in the West Midlands. So we'll join him a bit later on, see how the preparations are coming. It's a bit early yet, I think, to get the bunting out, isn't it? But I think that's what they'll be doing quite soon. Lots of people getting in touch already. Thank you very much. Don't forget, you can, gbviews@gbnews.uk. George says, I think the best thing about last night's concert, and not really mentioned so far, was the lighting and sound. They must have been thrilled when it was over. It was so well done, though. I hope they celebrated their achievements. It was incredible. The displays in the sky that clearly were done by drones. Unbelievable what they can do nowadays. And Sheila says, I'm enjoying my morning tea in southeast Austria and all the Jubilee festivities. Like the Queen, my favourite parts are the horses. They are such reactive, sensory animals, and they behaved perfectly in the parades, with cheering, flapping flags all around them and everything. They are so beautiful and elegant. So do get in touch, your favourite bit of the concert last night, and are you preparing a street party today? And what are you going to do if it rains? Love to hear from you. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Now, 3 in 5 people have said that they think Britain should continue to have a monarchy. And that's about 23% then who think Britain should become a republic. The support for the Queen is at a high during the Jubilee, but when the crown is eventually passed on, as I suppose we have to face, will the public continue to support the institution of a monarchy at all? To help me crunch the numbers, then, is Nhs Crisis, who's head of political polling at Opinium Research. Hello there, Chris. Hi.
Good morning.
It's not surprising there is such continued support for the monarchy at the moment because we've got a lot to celebrate and there's a lot going on. You do wonder if you took the poll at a different time, whether things might be different. When did you do the poll?
The poll was done just over a week ago. But if I'm honest, I've been doing polling like this for the last 6-7 years, and I've got colleagues who have been doing it for even longer. And the picture over that period of time has been pretty consistent. A pretty substantial majority of those in Britain support keeping the constitutional monarchy. Only about 1 in 5 think that we should replace it and become a republic. That's up a little bit recently, but it's still less than it's still far less than the number who think we should keep that monarchy. But also, when you ask about the Queen specifically, I mean, she's incredibly popular. I mean, particularly when we compare her to, for example, to the Prime Minister's current level of popularity. In our most recent poll, 74% of people say that they think she's done a good job. So I think, wide support for the monarchy generally, but very specifically when we ask about the Queen, overwhelming levels of support and popularity.
What do the people think about whether the monarchy is value for money?
I mean, people generally, I think value for money is certainly the aspect of it that gets the least level of support. But even then, more people think it's good value for money than bad value for money. And actually, when we asked about what people think the Queen's biggest achievements are as monarch, lots of them said many of the positive things she's done about modernising the monarchy, etc. But lots of people also said reforming the monarchy's finances was one of the things that they think she did a particularly good job at achieving. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, it's been able to be such a substantial institution in this country, which still holds such wide support, is because the public don't think of it as a money-wasting institution in the way that they do of many other institutions that are a big part of British life.
Is there a difference of opinion, the younger the people who you polled or the older? What do the young people really think?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably first worth noting that there is support for the concept of a monarchy across all age groups, but younger people are slightly less supportive than older people. And actually, to the extent we've seen a small increase in support for, republicanism in the UK in recent years, that small increase has definitely come from younger generations.
Because we're talking so much about street parties and things today, what did people think about spending money on these sort of celebrations?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And, there's basically a lot more mixed views around that, particularly when we asked about councils and what the view of councils spending money on these kind of things was a lot less supported than what you'd normally get for the monarchy. But look, I mean, what you see in the polling is just like what we'll be seeing on streets up and down the country today, which is, wide support for the monarchy and this being an institution that many, many people really like and adore, and many want to go out and celebrate and support.
Well, lots of people are going to be doing it. Chris Curtis, thanks very much indeed for joining me and telling me all about that poll. Fascinating when we think that today's programme is so much about street parties. Are you going to have one? How is the rain going to affect yours? Are you going to put it off, or are you just going to be very stalwart and British about it? Stephen is doing exactly that. He's in Codsall at the moment, preparing for a big park party. Shall we see how he's getting on? Hi!
I'm having a lovely time, Anne, and I'll tell you for why. Despite the weather, which is a bit grim at the moment, I've been surprised by two unexpected guests who've turned up this morning, Lola and Ruby. Good morning.
Good morning.
How lovely to see you both. I bet you're not normally awake at this time on a Sunday morning.
No.
No. So, Ruby, what has brought you to come and see us here this morning?
Well, we found out yesterday that you were here, so we decided to make you a cake for the Queen's Jubilee.
Made us a cake?
Yeah.
Really? I wondered what was in the box. Yeah. Oh, let's have a look. Well, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let's pull that out. Oh, it's proper. Look at that. Now, that is a beautiful Victoria sponge. Wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Are you sure you're going to let us have it?
Yes.
I know Grandma's hiding over there, out of shot. Did Grandma help with the baking?
Yes, she did.
So what have you made of this last few days? Have you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah,
What do you think of the Queen and the royal family?
She's done such an amazing job over the past 70 years.
Can you imagine 70 years is a long time to keep doing a job, isn't it? Because it's a job, I suppose. Oh, and so in terms of these sort of things, I tell you what, we will look forward to getting stuck into that today. Have you been having lots of parties and this sort of food, cakes and biscuits and crisps?
Yeah. Well, we're having a lunch party at our grandmother's house to celebrate it today.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I've got to say, what do you think of the weather? Because it's a bit grim, but do you think most people will just carry on anyway?
Yeah.
Because it's the British thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got to ask, I don't know how long you stayed up last night, but did you watch any of the concert?
Some of it,
Yeah, I did.
What did you, any favourite artists of yours performing?
I think they were all really good.
They're all really, yeah. It's funny because I guess you would have sort of seen artists and performers that you might not have heard of before.
Yeah, some of them.
I only heard the one from The Lion King.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, because people like Queen, the first band on.
Oh yeah, I like Queen.
Do you like them?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you'd have heard of them because they're from donkey's years ago.
Yeah, they are.
But they are very good, aren't they? I bet was Grandma rocking about to those.
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me. Well, look, thank you so much for bringing in this cake.
You're welcome.
I'm tempted to put it in my car and take it back to my house with me, but I better share it with the crew. But thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
And you.
Thank you so much. And isn't that just lovely? I just think that's perfect when you get two lovely young people and bringing me a cake. What more can you hope for? Girls, I'm really impressed. There's plenty more from us here at GB News. We're in Codsall, actually through a lot of the day today and through most of breakfast as well, so don't go anywhere. All the headlines coming up in just a moment.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, as the nation prepares for the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, I'm here in Codsall in South Staffordshire, as everyone here is preparing for a, hopefully, despite the weather, a day of parties, of celebrations, a bit of street food, a few barbecues perhaps. And they're not alone, because there should be a huge day of big Jubilee lunches right across the UK. Very good morning to you. It is 7 o'clock. It's Sunday, the 5th of June. It is this bank holiday weekend marking the Jubilee, and this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. We are the People's Channel. It's why we're out and about. It's why the people are bringing us cake this morning. Leaving that on set all morning, let me tell you. We are live on your radio, on your TV and online, and this is what you're waking up to today. More than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches will be held across the UK today as Platinum Jubilee celebrations finally draw to a close. Last night, millions watched as Prince Charles and Prince William paid a special tribute to the Queen at a star-studded Party at the Palace concert. Artists including Alicia Keys, Rod Stewart and Diana Ross entertained the crowds outside Buckingham Palace as Prince George and Princess Charlotte watched on. The Queen surprised everyone with a special cameo appearance alongside everyone's favourite bear, Paddington.
In other news today, the Prime Minister will attempt this week to shift the focus from Partygate to other things. Boris Johnson's going to announce plans on how to tackle the NHS backlog built up during the pandemic. I'm here in splendid isolation in London. Stephen is up there looking a little bit isolated as well, but hopefully he'll be joined by lots of people preparing a big park party. So it's a slightly different breakfast with Stephen and Anne, but you can go on listening to us and watching us all morning. And don't forget, you can send in your views to both me and Stephen on anything we're talking about today by emailing us gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Well, it is the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and you join me here in Codsall, complete with, and I don't know if you can see, this beautiful Victoria sponge that Lola and Ruby, who live around the corner, have made especially for me tonight. Made it last night, brought it over this morning. What a rare treat that is. Absolutely beautiful it is too, so we'll be tucking into that a little bit later on. And all in preparation, of course, for the 85,000 street parties being held across the UK, all being prepped right now as part of the big Jubilee lunch. Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall will join the public at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London. Today we'll also see the Platinum Jubilee Pageant march up the Mall, depicting iconic moments from the Queen's 70-year reign. Meanwhile, of course, there was that party last night at the Palace. There's been huge praise for that. Performances from Sir Elton John, George Ezra, Craig David, Queen, as you saw there, and Eurovision runner-up Sam Ryder filled the star-studded lineup. The Queen wasn't able to attend. We weren't expecting her to head to that event in any stage. But she did surprise the crowds by featuring in an opening sketch alongside another iconic British figure. It's beautiful. Have a look.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here.
Oh.
For later.
Happy Jubilee, ma'am. And thank you for everything.
That's very kind.
It just melts my heart. It melts my heart seeing that. I don't know why. Isn't it funny? Some things just pull at the heartstrings. Lovely. Well, let's see how people around across the country thought about the concert last night. Let's talk to our Raw reporter, Cameron Walker, who's at Buckingham Palace. And I have to say, Cameron, being where you are and our camera position there, you must have had a view to die for last night.
It was an absolutely incredible concert, Stephen. I was very lucky and actually managed to nab myself a ticket, and I was just to the left of the royal box. And when that clip of Her Majesty the Queen was playing with Paddington Bear, I don't think half of them knew what was going on. The Sophie Wessex, the Countess of Wessex in particular, was laughing hysterically at that clip. So it was a really special moment for the crowds here in particular. I've been told that this filming was kept secret for absolute months of Her Majesty the Queen with Paddington Bear. It was filmed at Windsor Castle, and then, of course, we now know what's in her handbag, a marmalade sandwich. But Buckingham Palace have said in a statement that the Queen felt the opportunity to invite Paddington Bear to tea too good to miss, and Her Majesty is well known for her sense of humour, so it shouldn't be a surprise that Her Majesty decided to take part. And then Buckingham Palace actually goes on to say, while the Queen may not be attending the concert in person, she was very keen that people understood how much it meant to her, and that all those watching had a really good time. Well, Her Majesty the Queen may not have been at the concert in person, but perhaps we may see her again today at the end of this magnificent Jubilee Pageant, which is expected to take place here in central London, involving 6,000 or so performers over 3 kilometres from Westminster Abbey, down Whitehall, up the Mall to Buckingham Palace. It's not confirmed. It is speculation, but there are rumours perhaps that we might see one final appearance from Her Majesty the Queen on the balcony of Buckingham Palace a little bit later on today.
Lovely stuff, Cameron. Thank you very much indeed. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. In the meantime, I want to talk to Chris Allen, who's local to Codsall and has joined me this morning. Thank you so much for being here. It's bright and early, isn't it?
It is too much.
Now, I have to say, I've travelled up from the South Midlands today, where I live. I'm afraid I haven't brought any decent weather with me. What, is this going to affect things, do you think, or does it not really matter?
Doesn't matter. Well, if you were going anywhere, it would matter, but we're going to be indoors today.
Right. So yeah, it's going to be more of an indoor do. But that, in a sense, people will still celebrate. You still get people going from house to house, won't you?
Yes.
What have you got planned for today?
I've got family coming for lunch, and so I'm making a cake.
Oh, look. Have you seen mine?
Yes, that's
the
nice.
girls made me.
That's very nice.
It's very nice, isn't it? I'm very impressed with that. Look, how important do you think the last few days have been?
Very, I think, because they brought the country together a bit, people have relaxed and enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it's nice to have something to celebrate, isn't it, after everything that we've been through?
Yes.
Was it difficult with how did you find the pandemic and everything? It's been a depressing couple of years.
Well, it was because being serious. My mother died during that, and my cousin, and then it was just that you didn't see anybody, and the family live all over the place, so it was like just shutting away from everybody.
So this is a bit of a coming together.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, as far as the nation is concerned, do you think there's a lot of focus on London? We understand, we understand that, but do you think it's it is important, isn't it, that we focus on places like Codsall, it's a beautiful little town, and realise that we're as important to the Queen as anywhere else.
Yeah, yes. It's just Codsall's a very nice village, and there's a nice atmosphere here generally.
Yeah. Is it a nice place to live? I have to say, I've not been here before.
You probably wouldn't really. It's very nice. There's probably a lot more than there used to be when we first came. But there's lots of things going on, and if you want to, the shops aren't too far away, and Sainsbury's.
No, it's what you need, though, isn't it, for a happy little life?
Yeah.
Is it quite a sort of nice, safe place to live?
I think so. It's obviously have moments, but I think generally it's all right. People look after them.
Do you think with everything that we've seen going on, and I mean some of the royals have been out and about and things as well across the country, is there a sense that do you think that the Queen is very keen to reflect that her people are right across the country, not just in London?
Yes, I think so. I think she wants to include everybody really.
70 years of a reign is, I mean, we'll never see the likes again.
No.
She's a remarkable lady, isn't she?
Yes. And I mean, I think she's pretty with it and tries, she's to join in everything if she can.
Yeah. I wonder if, and we've talked over recent weeks about the pressure that she must feel to be seen and to do what people expect. We just want her now, don't we, to take it easy?
Yeah, I think so. I think the family is slowly taking over.
Yeah. Well, I think when you get to 96, you deserve to take it a little bit easy, don't you? Well, look, what time are the family heading over today?
Today, about 11:30.
Right.
It's just a crowd.
So have you got plenty of prep still to do?
Yeah, I was to make a cake.
Right.
So it's nice and fresh. And I've got, it's sort of a buffet. And do you remember, like, cheese on sticks?
Oh, yes, with pineapple and all that.
I'm doing sort of a 60s
Right,
menu.
so you're going old-fashioned.
I am.
Oh, quite right. I love a bit of cheese and pineapple. Are you sticking them in a potato and all that?
A cucumber.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Well, look, I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to see us. We really appreciate it. Because, it's nice to... One of the things... I know you probably get bored of me and Anne saying it in the morning, but we like to... we like nothing more than meeting people and hearing from where people are from. And so it's nice that we've been able to come out today and see you in your own spots.
Yes.
We'll be round for a bit of cake later. Chris, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
OK, let's head back to Anne now in the studio.
Yeah, I tell you what, Stephen, Amanda in Bridge North says, I would have loved to have come along and met Stephen this morning in Codsall. I'm in Bridge North, only about 12 miles away. Unfortunately, I've got COVID, so I can't, but I've been watching all the fun and celebrations on TV since last Thursday. There you are. Yes, it's a slightly different breakfast programme this morning because it is with Stephen and Anne, as you can see, but Stephen's up there in Codsall in the West Midlands getting ready for a big street party, or actually a park party by the look of it, and I'm here in the studio tackling things that are a bit sort of non-Jubilee, if you like, because the world moves on. It's the last day of the Jubilee celebrations, and I suppose we're talking politics again. Boris Johnson is apparently going to double down on his efforts to tackle NHS COVID backlogs and cut waiting times. And he's going to announce a £36 billion investment for health and social care. A whole raft of announcements is expected this week as he attempts, I suppose, to draw a line under the Partygate scandal. To tell us more, I'm joined in the studio now by political consultant Emma Burnell. Hello there.
Hi, Anne.
How much danger do you think he is in?
I think he's in quite a lot. I mean, danger is
danger of losing his job,
quite considerably. I think what's very interesting here is that there's this assumption that he'll just have the payroll vote in his back pocket. That's the 150, right up from cabinet to very, very junior PPS. And I don't think they're as safe as people are assuming. Once they can make a private vote, not having to put a letter in with their name on, but actually they just vote yes or no, and are forced in private to make a decision, I mean, you can't look at this government and think things are going well.
No, not at the moment, though you could say it's mid-term, and his attitude seems to be, brave it out, we'll get over it.
That has been his attitude for quite some time. Let's turn the page, let's turn the page, let's turn the page. Well, it seems to be a very long book, Anne. You know,
he shocked everybody, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't think he is moving on. I don't think, more importantly, I think the public have made their minds up. And I think what's more interesting is whether Tory MPs can do the same thing. Their problem, I think, is that they don't really know what they want instead.
Well, no, in fact, if you look, there's an opinion piece in the Mail today saying that the Tory MPs who are considering or who already have sent in their letters calling for a vote of no confidence in him it says they are actually cowards, hell-bent on handing Keir Starmer the keys to number 10. So it is a big decision they have to take, because if there's a leadership election, it won't look good for them, and they could ultimately lose the next general election.
Basically, divided parties don't win elections, generally. That's the general rule. The question the Conservatives have to ask themselves is, do we continue in this vein, in which we know that quite a lot of the public and the party have lost confidence in Boris Johnson? Or do we attempt a regicide, as it were, not maybe the best weekend to use that term.
No.
And will that then unite the party, or will those who were supporters of Boris Johnson be unreconcilable to that? And I think if they had a clear candidate, they would be in a stronger position to do that. The only thing, I think, that Johnson has going in his favour is that he is the one pro-Johnson candidate, as it were.
True. What about this £36 billion investment in the NHS, though? Now, if he announces that this week, as we think, and we read the detail of it, if they're building a new hospital in my area, or if they're announcing a new hospital, for instance, in an area of an MP who's sort of thinking about something, whether or not to back Boris, that could turn the tide. I mean, if Boris can save the NHS, or convince us that he could save the NHS, that might be a vote winner.
I am very old and very tired, and very, very tired of having this conversation. I remember 2012 when the Tories brought in the biggest change to the NHS that we'd seen since its inception. And a bill described as so big it could be seen from space.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And that's just made everything worse. So I think the question is not just, are the British public in favour of sorting out the NHS and putting more money into it? Yeah, generally, yeah, absolutely they are. The question is, do they trust the Tories to be the party to do it? And I think increasingly they do not.
Well, interestingly, if you look at the other lot, as it were, Lucy Powell, who's the Shadow Culture Secretary, has written another big piece today in The Observer saying it's not the Conservatives who enshrine our patriotic principles, it's the Labour Party. She's saying the Labour Party is the party of true patriotism.
I mean, I've been arguing for a long time now, as a person on the left, as a commentator on the left, and a Labour Party member, though no longer activist, really, that absolutely the Labour Party has to embrace patriotism. I don't think there's anything more patriotic than wanting to first run your country and then thinking you could do it better and improving your country.
It's a bit rich, though, saying this now, while we're celebrating the Queen, that she's sort of politicising the Jubilee, isn't she?
I mean, who isn't politicising the Jubilee, really? Let's face it. I mean, the only reason Boris Johnson didn't go on Friday is because Graham Bailey gave him a break over the weekend.
Well, I wonder if that will give Boris the bounce he needs as well. This feel-good factor that everybody's feeling because of the Jubilee? You're not convinced?
I'm unconvinced, yeah. I think that Boris Johnson needs a lot more than the fact that people like the Queen to get through the next couple of weeks. And I think Tories might make the mistake of having this vote of no confidence before the by-elections, in which case I think Boris scrapes through. And if Boris wins by one vote, he clings on with his fingernails and he'll stay. I think if, as is very, very strongly predicted, they lose both Tiverton and Hounslow and Wakefield, thus losing both a red wall seat, as they're known, and that sort of traditional Tory area, I think that would probably have flipped the maths a bit. So we'll see whether the Tories are smart enough to do to even
It'll be a
managed to
testing
do this
time,
well.
won't it? Emma, thanks very much indeed. Yes, you see, it is the last day of the Jubilee celebrations and already the agenda is moving on to other things. Right now, it's 7:18. A very good morning to you. Here's Tamsin Roberts with the rest of today's top stories.
Thank you, Anne. Good morning. It's 7:19. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert last night, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection. Meanwhile, millions are set to gather for street parties across the country today, with more than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, whilst the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the long walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. And it's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. In other news, tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling, as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. Ukrainian forces have been on the counter-attack in the city of Severodonetsk over the last 24 hours. The Ministry of Defence says they've been able to slow Putin's momentum in the east of the country. Intelligence chiefs say Russian troops are poorly trained and equipped and lack resources. It's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko has died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled that he was one of 2 men who poisoned Mr Litvinenko at a London hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Japan has condemned North Korea after it carried out what's believed to be its largest ever ballistic missile test. The country test-fired 8 short-range missiles from the capital, Pyongyang. Japan's defence minister says the tests cannot be tolerated. It comes just a day after South Korea and the United States ended joint military drills. That's all from me for now. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens.
And this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. Slightly different today because Stephen is munching his way through a load of cakes at a street party, or at least they're getting ready for a big park party in Codsall in the West Midlands. I'm here in the studio. Lots of things going on, though, lots of things to talk about. Thanks for getting in touch. Don't forget as well, it's GB Views at gbnews.uk, as usual. Stephen's got lots of your views, and I have too. Saying hi to Chris in Australia. Hello. We were all up at 6 a.m. in Sydney, says Chris, to watch the concert. And we were not disappointed. It was one of the best we've ever seen. The light show and visual effects were world class. The drones were unbelievable. You don't get any more British, with Buckingham Palace all lit up, Union Jacks all around a teapot and cup above Buckingham Palace with Elton John playing the piano. God save the Queen. True, it really was incredibly British, wasn't it? To Scotland now, though, and Dunfermline is going to become Scotland's 8th city as part of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The town in Fife was chosen ahead of several others in the country, including Greenock and Dumfries. Our Scotland reporter, David Donaldson, has more.
It was the capital of Scotland until the early 17th century and is steeped in history. Dunfermline Abbey towers above the city and 7 kings are buried inside. Fife Provost Jim Leishman says one is of great national significance.
We have Dunfermline Abbey, and in the Abbey is the grave of Robert the Bruce. His his heart is somewhere else, but his bones are here, and many more. To be honest with you, Andrew Carnegie, you know, the world's richest man at one time. We've got Carnegie's birthplace, Carnegie Bash, Carnegie Library, Carnegie Museum.
Jim Leishman is a former player and manager of Dunfermline Athletic. They reached the semi-finals of the European Cup Winners' Cup in 1969, the club's greatest ever achievement. While Dunfermline has a rich historical past, it's also famous for music, with many local bands starting out here at the Alhambra before going on to bigger and better things.
There's some great musicians here, you know, the Naz Boys, Nazareth, Pete Agnew, Darryl Sweet, Dan McCafferty, were terrific. And then you had the famous Skids, the first punk band in Scotland, Richard Jobson, Stuart Adamson, Bruce Watson, and Billy from Lochkelly, and then they split ways, and Stuart formed the great Big Country, and some great music, you know, some great music, and many more. Barbara Dixon, of course, representing the ladies, Dame Barbara Dixon, a fantastic lady. They're all fantastic people, as well as world-renowned artists.
Many of the bands have played in Pittencrieff Park, which was given to the town by Andrew Carnegie, a Dunfermline man who amassed a fortune and will be remembered for giving virtually all of it away to help others. David Donaldson, GB News.
And congratulations then to Dunfermline. Do stay with us, we've got plenty more to come from me here in London and Stephen in Cotswold.
Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK will be cloudy with outbreaks of thundery rain in central and southern areas, drier and brighter elsewhere. Here's the details. Southwest England will be rather cloudy, especially towards the northeast, with some showers at times. There'll also be some bright or sunny spells, these mainly in the west. It will remain mostly cloudy in the southeast, with showery rain becoming lighter and patchier. Some bright or sunny spells may also develop in the south. South Wales will also be mostly cloudy with hill fog in places. There will also be outbreaks of showery rain, which will tend to ease. It'll be a cool feeling day across the Midlands, and it will remain cloudy or overcast throughout. Outbreaks of heavy, at times thundery rain will ease and turn patchier from the south. The northeast of England will remain generally dry, although cloud will steadily increase from the south, with sunny spells in the north. A fresh easterly breeze will also limit temperatures along the coast. It'll be another fine day across southern Scotland. There'll be plenty of sunshine on offer here and remain dry for all, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. Northern Ireland will also have a dry day. It'll be sunny here for most, with just a little bit of fair weather cloud at times, also feeling pleasant in the sunshine. So rain edging north and easing a little, drier to the north and south with sunny spells here. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own news from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
And a very good morning to you. It's a slightly different breakfast with Stephen and Anne this morning, because Stephen is in Console in the West Midlands getting ready for a big park party that's going to happen up there, because it is the last day, isn't it, of the Jubilee celebrations. And I'm here in the studio with Aiden Mcgee, who's joined me. Hello.
Hello, how are you? Nice
I'm
to see you.
very well, yeah. You were wise to go to bed last night instead of watching the concert.
I just believe, we were talking off set, off air just then, I just believe in, if you're tired, just sleep. I don't believe in just sitting there and keeping your eyes open with match.
And you haven't yet seen the little Paddington Bears?
No, but I will. I've heard everybody
we'll
talking
show
about
you
it.
that. It was absolutely magic and a total surprise to everybody, and just shows that Her Majesty has a sense of humour.
I had a Paddington Bear when I was a kid.
Me too. I love
Yeah.
Paddington Bear ever since I was little. I absolutely loved it.
Couldn't get scripts in marmalade though.
You know, I think everybody should have a marmalade sandwich. There's the Queen there, and apparently she carries a marmalade sandwich in her handbag, as you do. Right, I suppose we ought to talk football.
Yes.
Hungary v England.
Yeah, it was yesterday. This is the Nations League, and it's a competitive tournament in a place of friendlies. I guess you'd probably rather watch competitive matches than friendlies, because with friendlies we see players not really trying a leg. They're waiting for their summer holidays. They sometimes think if they're on international duty, they should probably be on the beach already.
Is that right?
Yeah, it is, and that was certainly apparent in England's performance yesterday. They looked leggy. And now I guess the FA are using it, well, UEFA as well, and FIFA are saying, well, at least if we tell the clubs to release their players, at least tell them that we're releasing them for the purposes of playing a competitive fixture rather than friendlies. But they looked very leggy yesterday. They went there last September and won 4-0. But it was a completely different side yesterday. A few changes. We saw James Justin from Leicester coming in. We saw Jared Bowen play well from West Ham. But other than that, it was a listless performance and a poor penalty to give away. And it was marred at the beginning by... I should explain yesterday I did explain briefly yesterday what England were going to confront last night. So, because they played there last September and England's players were subjected to some horrific racial abuse, Hungary, for this game, were ordered to play behind closed doors, so no crowd in the ground.
Oh.
However, there is Article 73 on the UEFA statute book, which says that kids can come in if accompanied by an adult. So England got there last night. They only found out about this probably 24 hours before. England got in and realised that, oh, hang on a minute, there's 30,000 fans in the stadium, most of them children. And then we saw the children booing the taking of the knee. Now, yeah, I know, but I mean, England are now the only team in Europe who does this, and I just think it causes more problems than it solves.
It's beginning to, isn't it?
It's beginning to, yeah. But anyway, it kind of took away from...
So the atmosphere was really weird.
It was really strange, yeah. And also, I mean, England are doing a similar thing, because we've got a problem from last summer, because our supporters tried to barricade the Euro 2020 final. We're playing at Molineux against Italy, and it's going to be behind closed doors, but we're allowed to invite 2,000 under-14s. Now, look at it from UEFA's point of view. They're trying to do something positive here. They're saying, look, I have a bad situation. Let's get some children in who can't normally watch games. And they're under-14 and they're from local clubs. Don't forget the tickets are a bit inaccessible anyway, because it's England and it's tough to see them play. Even in Hungary last night, it would be difficult. They recruited kids from many miles away. So there is goodwill behind it, but it looked like it was abused last night.
Work.
To some degree, yeah, exactly. And it was a poor performance as well. And then we have got Wales tonight, which are proper competitive.
Now, this is interesting, because it's Wales v Ukraine.
Yes.
And I saw an interview with the Welsh manager who said, look, we would do anything to relieve Ukraine.
Yeah, take away their pain.
Yes, to take away their pain. But this is business.
Exactly. So
they will try and win.
Yeah, of course. I mean, so Wales have a slight advantage because they're playing at home this evening at 5 o'clock at the Cardiff City Stadium. They've not lost there in 18 matches. But Ukraine, just out of nowhere, don't forget, Ukraine, most of the players in that Ukraine team on Wednesday who went to Scotland and won 3-1 hadn't played since December because they've been holed up in their own country. So there were a smattering of players who play around Europe, and the Yarmolenko at West Ham, for example, he'd been playing for West Ham. Yeah. But they went to Scotland, and Scotland were favourites in their game without question. They won 3-1, and the outletting of emotion as well from their coach was just something to behold, and the players as well, the unification, and a lot of Ukraine supporters were there as well. So they go, The other thing, there's a huge game on Wednesday. It's not quite uncommon that you play a huge game like this 4 days later, and luckily they're playing it fairly nearby. They're going to Wales, having been in Glasgow in midweek. But this is going to be a huge game for both sides, because Wales haven't qualified for a World Cup since 1958.
So emotions will be high on both sides.
Hugely, and as I say, they've got an excellent record there, Wales. They've got the advantage because they're playing at home, but I just would not write off Ukraine at all, because having gone there with the tails up, or with their tails down, really, going to Scotland and having produced that result, I think Wales will look at this in a different way now. They'll be posing questions that they weren't expecting. And there's nobody has failed to qualify for a World Cup for as long as Wales, apart from Indonesia. Oh. So that's what they're up against. And this is a team that has had world-class players down the years. You know, we think of Ryan Giggs, we think of Gareth Bale, Neville Southwell, Ian Rush, all these players. They've had all these guys, and they've just not been able to get to a World Cup. So they've got a chance to do it tonight, but they'll be very unpopular winners, I think, if they turn over Ukraine.
Well, let's just hope they keep the sense of respect for both sides.
I think they will, yeah. I think they will. I mean, Wales took into 3,000 Ukrainian refugees as well, which is one of the highest in Europe per capita. So
that's worth remembering.
Yes, exactly.
OK, we've got more to talk about a bit later on
Absolutely.
in the programme. For the moment, as I've been saying all morning, slightly different breakfast with Stephen and Anne, because Stephen's in Codsall in the West Midlands preparing for a big park party. But he'll be with you in a couple of moments going through today's top stories in the newspapers.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning to you. We're in Codsall in South Staffordshire. I've got a bit of a confession to make with the cake. I've been trying to keep it hidden, but if you turn it round, I'm afraid I have been nibbling away at the back of it. It's, it is delicious. It is really, really delicious. But I haven't got a knife, so I'm using a little sort of spatula from the coffee shop to get into it. So it's been very nice, very good. So thank you to the girls for that one this morning. Let's take you through the newspapers. And we'll start with the Mail on Sunday. It has a picture from the Queen's cameo appearance alongside Paddington Bear with the headline, "Marmalade, Your Majesty." Rock and roll, says the Sunday Mirror, with a picture of Queen's Brian May kicking off the party at the Palace last night. The Sunday Times has a picture of the Queen having tea with Paddington Bear, saying it's been the party of a lifetime for the world's grandmother. And the Sunday Express has Prince Charles, who said, "Thank you for being there for us, Mummy." Let's go through the papers then in a bit more detail with royal broadcaster and commentator Rafe Haydel-Mancou and our very own Neil Oliver. Gents, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Neil, let's start with the Observer, should we? Looking at being patriotic, and Labour says, well, if you want a patriotic party, it's them.
I know, I find this... I cannot... I am breathless at the audacity. Writing in today's Observer, Lucy Powell, the Shadow Secretary of State for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport, says Labour is the party which now stands up for much-loved British institutions, trying to position Labour as the party of patriotism. The either party, frankly, either the Conservatives or Labour would have the temerity, the unmitigated gall after the last few years to claim love of country absolutely takes my breath away. I mean, from 2016 and the Brexit referendum, when politicians of every stripe colluded in an attempt to thwart the will of the largest plebiscite, to demonstrate love, if there was a time to demonstrate love of country, it would have been in standing up for and with the will of the people, which was not done. And in so many ways, it's demonstrably the case that neither party is committed to anything heartfelt. I find that both parties are hollow. They are guided by what they think is the whim or the notion of the day. There's no commitment from either Boris Johnson or any of his little wizards. Neither is there anything from Keir Starmer or his. I find it the most blatant, hypocritical power grab for Labour to stand up and say that after what has been going on in recent years that they are the party of patriotism. I am appalled.
What do you reckon, Ray?
No, I agree completely. I mean, the Labour Party of Clement Attlee was a proudly patriotic party, but that bears no resemblance to the party that we see today. There's been a sneering condescension towards this country, towards English people. You remember Emily Thornberry and a condescending attitude towards the flag. And there's been this elevation of identity politics over British culture. It's almost as if any identity is fine to have in the Labour Party, apart from your British or your English identity.
Oh, do you know that you do get a sense of that? I was saying on air the other morning that it's nice to be able to feel proudly British without having to sort of somehow apologise for it at the moment.
Yes, I mean, I think it's important, to say that the Jubilee, it's a splendid moment, and it's bright and it's uplifting, but it is just a day. It is just a brief and transient time, and reality for people, the everyday lived reality for people at the moment is hard and getting harder. And what people need from politicians at a time like this is some kind of leadership, and also a sense from them that they believe in the same things that the people of the country broadly believe in. And there has been a gross dereliction of duty there. I don't think there is anything heartfelt in the political class, or if there is, it's not demonstrated. They keep that light under a bushel for some reason. And I think it's so important. Yes, Jubilee, great, good to see it, good that these moments are marked. But what we need at the moment is leadership. And this tawdry attempt by Labour to just pick on the latest thing, to claim that we are the party of patriotism, it's just a blatant attempt to try and obfuscate from reality. But
it's important to remember, 2019 was supposed to be the great realignment election, when the country moved away from using economics as a distinction of which party you belong to culture, because culture is now the real determination. And we've seen that with Brexit, we've even seen that in COVID reactions. And the Labour Party lost all of its small c Conservative patriots who came over first to the Brexit Party and then, with Boris Johnson, to the Tory Party. And that was supposed to have set the battleground for the future. And the great lost opportunity, I think, are all of the scandals that have engulfed the Tory Party, because you needed to have at least one more election to solidify that small c Labour vote. And the disgust that you're seeing in the country towards the Tory Party makes it almost inevitable that there's going to be a huge loss of seats. So I think Labour sees that, and Labour's trying to get back those small C Conservative voters who they lost.
In terms of what you say about people's view about the Tory party, Nadeem Zahawi, who actually some are saying could be a potential leader, in the Mail on Sunday, talking about free speech, because of course there is the Tory scum yelling which goes on at times. He's saying, well, yell it all you like, it's free speech.
Yes, well, he quotes here Ronald Reagan, who said, "Freedom is always one generation away from extinction and must be fought for and protected." And he's written a piece here in the Mail based upon an experience he had at Warwick University, where he was cancelled by the braying mob and shouted down, "Tory scum, Tory scum." And there's a great challenge facing the country, because if all those who had voted in the last general election had been limited to people under 25, Jeremy Corbyn would have had over a 100-seat majority in Parliament. There wouldn't have been a single Tory MP elected had the youth of Britain voted in that election. And this is something that the Tory party hasn't come to terms with. There's a great challenge going on, and universities are the hotbed of all of this. There's a complete radical agenda in these universities. Suppression of free speech is not a rare thing at all. It's gone in my lifetime from having 2 liberal professors for every 1 conservative professor to having 8 or 9 liberal professors for every 1 conservative professor. And in that environment, students don't feel that they can speak up. When they see this happening to a Minister of the Crown, there's a suppression of free speech on all levels. So whilst the government's been very disappointing on so many levels in terms of its culture war and attack on the woke issues, on the one issue of free speech, they have been very good, actually, in talking the talk. But I'd like to see them actually walk the walk and demonstrate it.
But what about, I mean, the reality then is, is to contemplate the online safety bill, which... Again, I struggle to put into words how irate I feel about that. It's trumpeted as something that is somehow going to secure freedom of speech online, and it's absolutely the antithesis of freedom of speech online. It's going to leave the big operators, those in control of the big social media platforms, with little option but to take the safe route, which is basically to censor anything that moves in advance. Better that than face the consequences of inadvertently or otherwise putting something out into the open public domain for which they could be criticised. The online safety bill is a disaster for free speech. That is online is where most people, that is the public square now. The social media platforms are in lieu of the public square. That is where the ideas of the day are supposed to be discussed and debated. The online safety bill is going to make sure that that is even less possible. So how anyone from within the Tory party can claim that they're standing up for freedom of speech in the context of the online safety bill, I do not know.
Well, I mean, it's the public square in the modern age. What it's meant to be, what was always the place we used to go and discuss our thoughts and air our views was down the pub, Neil. The Mail on Sunday, looking at the fact that there could be up to 10,000 pubs may close, as well as that place at fish and chip shops and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it here actually. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is that the lived reality for people. The Jubilee notwithstanding, the reality is that tens of thousands of businesses in the hospitality sector face closure. The fish and chip shops I'm reading elsewhere in the Mail, likewise, facing closure. The devastation that has been wrought upon the economy by the disastrous, the policy disaster that was lockdown and everything that went alongside it. That is what is the reality for people living in the country today. And my heart bleeds for people who spent lifetimes building up small businesses, building up restaurants, cafes, looking after pubs and all the rest of it. Fish and chip shop owners, all of that is so imperilled at the moment, and that's where the focus has to be. The Jubilee's been great, but someone has got to take responsibility for the other 364 days of the year.
Yeah, I mean, but when it comes to these small businesses and the pubs and the chip shops and all the rest of it, it's very difficult to know now how we actually go about trying to revive it, because that's surely got to be a lot of it just down to people power, just down to us saying, right, we'll go down the chippy tonight. Or whatever.
Well, no, absolutely. But there's actually a war of attrition going on against these organisations because, unfortunately, in the case of the fish and chip shops, for example, 45% of the white fish in the world is controlled by Russia. And there are import tariffs coming in on cod that's being imported to the UK. 40% of fish and chip shops here depend upon that source. Now, as far as we can see, things are going towards a stalemate in the Ukraine. There's no end in sight. We could be in even for a decade of conflict there. At what point does the world, the West, I should say, have to reevaluate sanctions? Should they or should they not? That's another debate. But the issue is, how can our businesses survive in such circumstances when there's no end in sight to these punitive restrictions?
I feel increasingly that what is needed is for the government to get out of everyone's way. That thing about, the most terrifying, string of words in the language, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's absolutely the case. And it's demonstrably been the case for the last couple of years that the government, aided and abetted by the opposition, have have completely undermined and destroyed so much of the economy. And what needs to happen, for goodness sake, is please, government and the rest of them, get out of the way of people who know how to run businesses, entrepreneurial types who just need the horizon cleared in front of them, and they will rebuild these things. The government would just get out of their faces for a while.
Well, look, let us know what you think. GBViews at gbnews.uk. Rafe, Neil, thank you both. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. In the meantime, let's get ahead of the rest of the news today with Tamsin.
Stephen, thank you. Good morning. It's 7:49. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales has paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection.
Immense regret that she cannot be here in person with us this evening. But Windsor Castle is barely 20 miles away. So if we cheer loudly enough, she might just hear us. So let's all join together.
Well, millions are set to gather for street parties across the country today, with more than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the Long Walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. And it's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. In other news, tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. Ukrainian forces have been on the counter-attack in the city of Severodonetsk over the last 24 hours. The Ministry of Defence says they've been able to slow Putin's momentum in the east of the country. Intelligence chiefs say Russian troops are poorly trained and equipped and lack resources. It's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled that he was one of 2 men who poisoned Mr Litvinenko at a London hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Japan has criticised North Korea after it carried out what's believed to be its largest ever ballistic missile test. The country test-fired 8 short-range missiles from the capital, Pyongyang. Japan's defence minister says the tests cannot be tolerated. It comes just a day after South Korea and the United States ended joint military drills. That's all from me for now. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens, of course.
Good morning, and if you've just joined us, this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. But Stephen's out and about today. He's in Consell in the West Midlands, helping prepare for a great big party in the park there. I'm down here in the studio because there's lots of other things to talk about as well. Over the course of this Platinum Jubilee weekend, photographs will have been captured and moments recorded that will last for decades to come. I don't know where you start if you're a photographer. I mean, you only have to go through the Sunday papers today to see the amazing photographs that have been here. I'm holding up, for the benefit of those listening on the radio, I'm holding up the sort of special Jubilee edition of the Sunday Times. And huge photographs in such high definition, you know, you could plaster them all over your walls. Which would you choose? There have been so many magical moments, haven't there? As I said, if I were a photographer, I wouldn't know where to start. So let's find one and ask him. Royal photographer Ian Lloyd joins me now. Hello there, Ian.
Hello, good morning, Anne.
This is an impossible question, I suppose, to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I mean, what would be your favourite photographic moment of the entire time?
Oh, gosh. I mean, because it's the Queen's Jubilee, it's got to be anything with the Queen. So I'd imagine the balcony shot when she's talking to Louis is very sweet because that bridges the generations and shows she was having some good fun. So anything with the Queen is great. So the Thanksgiving service was a problem because the Queen wasn't there. So they did tend to focus on Harry and, you know, the relationship and all of that. And failing that, like you said, there's all the street parties. Because one of the unknowns with the Jubilee, it's not just the Queen and her health, it's the people. Will the people turn out, you know? I mean, I remember the Silver Jubilee and they predicted a big disaster and actually it was a great triumph. So you just never know. But this one I thought people might, because obviously it's likely to be the last big Jubilee we see. And, you know, people want to bring their children, grandchildren along to witness it. I've seen that on so many occasions, older people explaining to younger people this is where the Queen lives and, you know, and explaining all the different elements of the guards and so on. So there's that kind of, you know, coming together. And I think that's a definite picture, as you've just shown.
I mean, the main thing, I suppose, for you photographers is that there was so much and there were so many opportunities for wonderful photographs. It was a feast, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, and the thing with these big occasions, you're never sure what's going to make the photograph. I mean, now with royal weddings in London, we know it's going to be the kiss on the balcony. That's the image.
Yes.
But, you know, you start off with these big occasions and, like you say, you think, well, what's going to be the photograph? And it hopefully won't be something negative. It's going to be a positive. So, and I say usually with this one, inevitably it was something to do with the Queen. But I mean, there have been so many opportunities. Thank goodness, because of the weather, which has been great, you know, and we've seen the royal ladies like Kate wearing stunning outfits at St. Paul's and so on, and it makes a very, very colourful splash in the newspapers. So, and the tradition, the pageantry, you're just showing pictures of trooping the colour. I mean, that's always, you know, makes a nice picture. But I think the little children were a giveaway. Last night, you know, George and Charlotte at the concert, yes. And the photographs in the carriage procession. There was one of Louis waving like mad and Charlotte grabbing his hand and putting it down, and that was really funny. You know, the children are the scene stealers, aren't they? Inevitably.
Yes, they were poking each other with Union Jack flags last night as well, which was very funny. Yeah. I'm going to hold something up again here, which is the splash centre page in the Mail on Sunday today. And that, I reckon, just as you were saying, is the photograph for me. It's the Queen with Prince Louis on the balcony. And there is clear, I mean, there's just joy there between them. They're enjoying a banter between them, aren't they? And it's just magic. There was so much for you.
And that's kind of historic, because the Queen first went on the balcony in 1927 as a baby when her parents came back from Australia, and she's been there with Churchill, and then her wedding, the coronation. I mean, she's the balcony veteran, and little Louis's only been there, maybe, I can't remember, it's his second time, but anyway, you know, he may have a lifetime of balcony appearances. So it's almost handing the baton over to the younger generation, and she's clearly explaining to him what's going to happen with the red arrows and so on, because she's seen it so many times.
That's right.
More than anybody, you know.
It was lovely. I mean, that was genuine affection between a great-grandma and her great-grandson. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's what we appreciate seeing, isn't it? Those touches of humanity.
Absolutely.
Prince Charles last night calling her mummy.
Oh, he always does that. It's a kind of standing joke. And every time she's been next to him, this is the third Jubilee, she kind of rolls her eyes. She thinks, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Because he always says, Your Majesty, and then goes, Mummy, you know, and it's it is quite sweet. But the highlight for me was the Paddington Bear thing, because, of course, it was a joke on so many levels, because the thing with the Queen is tea. It always amuses me in the court circular. The President of Peru has arrived and had tea with the Queen. It's very British, isn't it? Yes. So you always associate having tea with the Queen. And then the other big thing is what's in her handbag. You know, there's always this speculation. Is it lipstick? Is it... you know, no money, obviously, but, you know, that kind of thing. And then suddenly she says, oh, this is what I keep. You know, it's a marmalade sandwich.
I know.
It was terrific. And the introduction to Queen, you know, with the teaspoon was just so funny.
Yeah, it was
Shades of
absolutely brilliant. It shows she's got that great twinkle in her eye sense of humour.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, we talk about photographers and the picture of the day. And frankly, that was a television picture, wasn't it? It was a television moment, made the front pages of many of today's Sunday papers.
But a big secret. I mean, doesn't it remind you of the Jubilee with the last Jubilee with the James Bond? You know.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you were convinced James Bond was.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought there was going to be an actress last night, and I thought it was James Bond, how he's going to be talking to an actress, and then suddenly there's a Queen. You think, oh my God, you know. So that's
front page picture on the Sunday Times. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Paddington having tea with the Queen. Lovely to talk to you, Ian. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yeah. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne, and we'll be back with you in a few moments.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, as the nation prepares for a final day of celebrations for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, I'm here in Codsall in South Staffordshire as locals here prepare for street parties, weather permitting, barbecues, lots of finger food, all that sort of thing, as we prepare for about 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held right across the UK. Good morning to you. It is 8 o'clock. It is Sunday, the 5th of June, this bank holiday weekend, and this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. Well, we are the People's Channel. It's why we would like to get out and about and meet you all whenever we can, which is why we're here in Codsall this morning. And if you're not here, then of course you can join us whether you're on your TV, your radio, or online this morning, so you can take us out and about with you, whatever you're up to when you're heading to the street parties today. This is what you're waking up to this morning. More than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held across the UK today as Platinum Jubilee celebrations finally draw to a close. Last night, millions watched as Prince Charles and Prince William paid a special tribute to the Queen at a star-studded party at the Palace. Artists including Alicia Keys, Rod Stewart and the great Diana Ross entertained the crowds outside Buckingham Palace as Prince George and Princess Charlotte watched on. Well, the Queen surprised everyone with a special cameo appearance alongside everyone's favourite bear, Paddington.
Wasn't that marvellous? Plus, I'm going to have a full showbiz roundup with our very own Stephanie Tetchy. That's coming up. And don't forget, you can send in your views to both me and Stephen on anything we're talking about. Your favourite bits of the concert last night, for instance. Do you like a marmalade sandwich? Do you keep one in your handbag, I wonder? Email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Well, loads of you getting in touch this morning. Thank you for doing so. George says, what a party it was for Her Majesty the Queen last night. In fact, the whole 3 days so far have been about love to all. I mean, that's actually, I think that is what it's all about. It's all about love and kindness and community and Thanksgiving. Karen says, my family and I have been watching the Platinum Jubilee celebrations all the way from Botswana in Africa. We've been loving every moment of it, especially the marmalade sandwich tea with the Queen and Paddington Bear. What a special moment and what a special lady. I agree. There's just something, I don't know, magical, childlike about that. And there's a glint in the Queen's eye, I think. Just when she pulls that sandwich out of her handbag. Look at her eye and the smile. It's just lovely. Absolutely lovely. Carol's been in touch. Morning to you, Carol. She says, what a spectacular party at the Palace. From start to finish, it was fantastic. And our beautiful, steadfast, courageous and dutiful Queen and her appearance with Paddington Bear was by far my most favourite part. I think a lot of you will agree with that. And it was lovely to see her looking relaxed and happy. I mean, it was filmed at Windsor Castle. Quite when, I don't know. But what a lovely moment, and what a fantastic concert last night. There may be one or two, if you're watching at home, there may be one or two hangovers this morning, but it's time to get up and about, because it is the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and it's the big lunch today, the Jubilee lunch, so we've got 85,000 lunches taking place right across the UK. Here's the street parties for you. I mean, of course, others have been happening on other days, of course. But it's the big day today. And I can tell you that the weather is improving slightly here in Codsall. It's getting a little bit better, which is very nice. So fingers crossed. And I have to say, I'm having my very own little Jubilee party here this morning. I was brought earlier on this morning. Two lovely girls decided, because they knew I was coming here today, to bake me a cake. So they baked me a classic Victoria sponge, and there you go. And I don't know if you can tell from that angle, I don't know what camera you're on there, but I've had a right good nibble through that. Oh, there you go, as the day... That's what I've managed to do so far today. There you go, it's not very good for the diet, but I can tell you, it's a very fine cake. Let's talk to our Royal reporter, Cameron Walker, who's at Buckingham Palace, where you seem to have taken root, Cameron, over the past few days. Look, I've got to ask you, what did you make of the concert last night?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible, Stephen, and that cake looks amazing, so I'm very jealous of that cake indeed. But I think it was just an incredible atmosphere here last night. 22,000 people in the crowd, and I think the biggest surprise was the one right at the beginning when Her Majesty the Queen appeared with Paddington Bear. I was just sat to the left of the royal box, and I could see members of the royal family clearly not expecting it either. The Countess of Wessex was laughing hysterically, as was Prince George and Princess Charlotte as well, and they kept it a secret for months. And it was filmed at Windsor Castle, and Buckingham Palace have told us in a statement that Her Majesty felt it was too good an opportunity to miss, and Her Majesty is well known for her sense of humour, so it shouldn't be a surprise that she decided to take part. And they also went on to say that while Her Majesty could not be at the concert in person last night, she was very keen that people understood how much it meant to her that all those watching was having a great time. Well, Her Majesty the Queen may not have been at the concert, but at the end of the pageant day, a magnificent pageant which starts at Westminster Abbey and goes up Whitehall, down the Mall to Buckingham Palace this afternoon here in central London, involving 6,000 performers, including over 1,000 military performers. It's going to be the largest tri-service musical ensemble ever assembles, which means RAF, British Army and Royal Navy will be taking part. So a lot to look forward to this afternoon, Stephen.
Cameron, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'm joined by two lovely people here in Codsall, Elizabeth and Paul Walker. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Because it's, I mean, what time is it now? It's just, I forget what time it's just gone 8 o'clock. Are you normally up at this time on a Sunday?
No,
Is it special efforts because of this?
Today, yes. Today.
So what are you planning today?
We're planning to come over here, hopefully, to enjoy the picnic that's on this afternoon. So, hoping the weather will brighten up.
Are there any sort of plans in place for if it is still a bit wet? I don't know what the organisers have done.
We're not sure.
I don't know.
We'll probably disperse and go home and spend the rest of the time at home
Yeah.
this afternoon.
Yeah.
But still making the most of it, I guess.
Yes, making the most.
I mean, we've got there's something very sort of quintessentially British about all of this, though, isn't there? I mean, we've got the dogs running about in the rain. We're all sat here with cake and scripts blowing all over the place. But we're just getting on with it.
Yes, you have to.
We do. I love the fact you brought this in. This is a bit of a classic piece.
It is.
Tell us about it.
So, this was bought for me as a present when I was 9 years old. When I was at the Silver Jubilee in 1977.
Wow.
So, and I've kept it perfect ever since. So, I thought I'd bring it along today.
Yeah, it's a lovely thing, and I have to say, it's a golden coach and all the rest of it. The fact you've still got it in the box and everything.
It's never been out of the box.
that'll be worth a bob or two, I should think, in a few. Well, probably now. Never mind in a few years.
Probably.
Yeah. You mentioned the Silver Jubilee. I mean, I was 77. I was 3 or 4 at the time, and I remember it just vaguely. But do you think this has got a touch of the Silver Jubilee, where it did seem to be a lot more about community spirit?
Definitely,
Yes.
definitely. They've worked really hard here in Codsall to involve all the community. We came on Thursday evening when we saw the lighting of the Jubilee baton here on the field, and so many of the local residents just came out to enjoy that. It was really busy here on Thursday evening. It was wonderful.
Paul, what do you think of the Queen? What is it about the Queen that makes her so special?
It's a multitude of things, isn't it? Persona, a longevity. It just goes on and on. I've had her in my life, as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's just a shame we have to wait once every 25 years to celebrate.
Well, to celebrate something as big as this.
We do need to celebrate more often, bring the communities together.
Do you think we should sort of like every 3 or 4 years have some sort of
because the country's been through a real dark period, hasn't it? And I think we've needed this lift.
I mean, I know we've said it throughout the show and over the weekend, as I waved my little flag about. There's something very nice to be able to unapologetically be proud to be British in all of this, isn't there?
Yes.
And why shouldn't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our Queen is admired all over the world, and she's our biggest treasure.
I quite agree. Well, at least you are her namesake.
I am. I was named after her.
Were you?
Yes, my mum's very patriotic. My mum's 87 now, and she did name me after the Queen.
Oh, lovely. Well, that's a nice thing to know on a day like today. Look, Elizabeth, Paul, thank you both very much indeed. I hope the rest of the day goes very well. Whatever the weather, I hope it goes very well. And if you don't want that, I'll happily take it off your hands. Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Well, great to see you.
Thank you.
If you hang about long enough, you can have a slice of my cake if you like. Well, let's see what celebrations are being prepared in other parts of the country for you. Our South West of England reporter Jeff Moody is in Dartmouth, where the Queen first met Prince Philip. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Well, it's been a game of two halves, this Jubilee, hasn't it? The first couple of days, the actual bank holidays, glorious weather. We were down in Cornwall, really making the most of it. All the bars were packed, all the beaches were packed, all the car parks were packed. But then yesterday, as the weather turned, people started to move out. You noticed the traffic was bumper to bumper leaving Cornwall, because the emphasis, as you were saying just now, the emphasis on today really is about the street parties. And of course, that's in your street, that's your community. So people aren't on holiday, they've gone back home to enjoy the final day of this celebration with their community. So we've crossed the border into Devon. We're here in the glorious, absolutely glorious Dartmouth. It's beautiful here, I must admit. As we arrived, last night, all the people were outside the bars, the music was drifted across the river. Absolutely glorious. Not quite so glorious in this drizzle, but we will make the most of it because we're British. There's a huge party in Coronation Park. That's this afternoon, so we're going to be coming live from Coronation Park, a huge picnic for all of the locals. And as you said, of course, this has huge royal connections down here in Dartmouth. This is where the 14-year-old Princess Elizabeth met her Prince Charming and had her fairy tale marriage shortly afterwards. So huge royal connections. And whenever the Queen comes here, she says that Dartmouth, more than anywhere else in the world, reminds her that time doesn't actually move that quickly, that it doesn't feel like it's been all those years since she was last here. So hopefully the drizzle will kind of move away at some point, although looking at these clouds, I'm not too hopeful that'll be the case. But never mind, as we said, we're British. We've got umbrellas around, so it's going to be fine. Soggy sandwiches are the order of the day up in Coronation Park. So if you happen to be down this way, come and see us. We'll be in the park later on. That's it from me. For now, I'm going to try and dry off a little bit. Back to you.
Lovely stuff, Jeff. Yes, you're quite right, though. We are British. We don't mind getting a little bit soggy. What does it matter? We just carry on. Look, I'm going to leave you just for a moment. I would only wish I could, as I pass over to Tamsin for the rest of the top stories, I wish I could send her a bit of cake as well, because our Tasmin, I can tell you, likes a little bit of Victoria sponge.
Stephen, thank you. Good morning. Giving away all my secrets. It's 8:15. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales has paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection.
Immense regret that she cannot be here in person with us this evening. But Windsor Castle is barely 20 miles away. So if we cheer loudly enough, she might just hear us. So let's all join together.
Well, millions are set to gather for street parties across the country today, with more than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the long walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. And it's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. To other news now. Tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. Ukrainian forces have been on the counter-attack in the city of Severodonetsk over the last 24 hours. The Ministry of Defence says they've been able to slow Putin's momentum in the east of the country. Intelligence chiefs say Russian troops are poorly trained and equipped and lack resources. It's widely reported that one of the main suspects in the murder of former Russian spy and Kremlin critic Alexander Litvinenko has died of COVID-19. Dmitry Kovtun died at a hospital in Moscow. A UK inquiry ruled that he was one of the 2 men who poisoned Mr Litvinenko at a London hotel in 2006, and that it's likely they acted on behalf of the Russian security service. Japan has criticised North Korea after it carried out what's believed to be its largest ever ballistic missile test. The country test-fired 8 short-range missiles from the capital, Pyongyang. Japan's defence minister says the tests cannot be tolerated. It comes just a day after South Korea and the United States ended joint military drills. This is GB News. More from me in half an hour. Now it's back to breakfast.
Good morning. A slightly different, if you've just joined us, a slightly different show this morning because Stephen is in Codsall in the West Midlands preparing for a big party in the park there. I'm here in the studio and I just want to say hello to Dean, who's watching us with a hangover. Sorry about that. You're obviously enjoying the concert too much last night. Diana, who says, politics put me off on this big day, but I love you too anyway. And Lee from Cornwall, who says, good morning to you, Stephen and Anne, on this lovely Sunday morning. This is Lee from the Eden Project. We're having a big Jubilee lunch and party at Eden today, and it's free entry to anyone who's coming to Eden. It's going to be such a busy, exciting day. I hope you too enjoy it as much as us. Oh, and finally, Tony says, may I just take this opportunity to thank GB News and the people of Great Britain for making Her Majesty's Jubilee such a huge success. Your channel has been brilliant. It just wants our hearts to burst with pride in our Queen and country. That's lovely, isn't it? That's what GB News is all about. Thank you very much. Now, more than £800 million has been spent enjoying the bank holiday weekend. From Union Jack bunting to memorabilia of the royal family, businesses have been quick to capitalise on the celebrations, which have marked the Queen's 70-year reign. Our reporter Alice Porter has been to one shop in Windsor, which has certainly got a taste for the Jubilee.
Is this Windsor's answer to Willy Wonka? Claiming to be the world's smallest chocolate factory, Dr. Chocs has been getting into the Jubilee spirit with a limited edition chocolate bar.
It's been infused with orange and cinnamon oil, which is really nice. The cinnamon brings up the orange in the chocolate and makes it a really nice flavour, a very fruity flavour like the Queen likes.
Now I'm going to have to ask, how do you know what the Queen's favourite chocolate is? I mean, I know we've got Windsor Castle, I can see it from here. How on earth do you know what the Queen's favourite chocolate is?
Oh, we did a little bit of research and we had some contacts which were able to tell us what the Queen likes. So it's basically dark chocolate with some fruity flavours in it.
The factory has also been doing special Jubilee chocolate making workshops. I thought it was only right that I took part.
And the first thing we always start with is painting the bars of chocolate, okay?
Lovely.
This is made of cacao butter and food colouring, so it will set at room temperature. Now what we're going to do is fill up this mould with the chocolates coming out of the machines, and then you're going to add your toppings.
When not making chocolate, says Dr. Chocs, Ramnick works as a real-life doctor and says chocolate has many nutritional benefits.
It is an antioxidant, it's good for your heart, good for your brain.
Slam it down.
Oh. On doctor's orders, I thought it was time to try some of my chocolate. We've got milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and inside is, what was it, a caramel rum?
Yeah.
Sounds very nice. Right, let's give it a go. It's very nice. It's very good, if I do say so myself. With Windsor Castle now the Queen's permanent home, Ramnick is hoping she might pop by his shop once the Jubilee celebrations are over.
And we really want the Queen to have a happy, long life and hopefully come down one day and do the chocolate workshop with us.
Alice Porter, GB News.
Well, I certainly hope Her Majesty enjoys those too. We've got some lovely comments coming in. Thank you very much. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us. Even though Stephen is in the West Midlands this morning, in the middle of the park, he's receiving your views as well. So send in your views, gbviews@gbnews.uk. David says, apart from the house-shattering lightning storm on Poole Quay last night, one of many amazing moments was the laser show on the backdrop of Buckingham Palace. Truly enthralling. It was the most incredible concert last night, wasn't it? I didn't watch it all because I couldn't stay up forever, and I kept nodding off anyway, but I did catch Prince Charles doing his lovely, lovely speech. And I thought it was wonderful when he asked the crowd to join in a big roar of approval, hoping the Queen in Windsor would be able to hear it. We've got some pictures that you've been sending in too. Patrick in Queensland in Australia sent this in. Oh, a lovely picture there of a magnificent flag flying against a beautiful blue sky of Australia. He says, this is my tribute to the Queen of Australia on her Platinum Jubilee. Loving GB News. Thank you so much. And Daniel sent this lovely picture in. It's a beautiful post box and it's absolutely, well, it's just been beautifully decorated. He says, I checked out our local post box yesterday. I'm unable to claim this as my own, apart from taking the photo. This is regularly decorated on various occasions, which we thoroughly enjoy looking at, especially the remembrance sleeve. That's brilliant. I love people who actually bother to get out and decorate something like a post box. Or yesterday we saw some wonderful decorated bollards, street bollards, so they looked brilliant too. Please do stay with us. We've got plenty more to come. After the break, we'll be asking if women's sport is under threat.
Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK will be cloudy with outbreaks of thundery rain in central and southern areas, drier and brighter elsewhere. Here's the details. Southwest England will be rather cloudy, especially towards the northeast, with some showers at times. There'll also be some bright or sunny spells, these mainly in the west. It will remain mostly cloudy in the southeast, with showery rain becoming lighter and patchier. Some bright or sunny spells may also develop in the south. South Wales will also be mostly cloudy with hill fog in places. There will also be outbreaks of showery rain, which will tend to ease. It'll be a cool feeling day across the Midlands, and it will remain cloudy or overcast throughout. Outbreaks of heavy, at times thundery rain will ease and turn patchier from the south. The northeast of England will remain generally dry, although cloud will steadily increase from the south, with sunny spells in the north. A fresh easterly breeze will also limit temperatures along the coast. It'll be another fine day across southern Scotland. There'll be plenty of sunshine on offer here and remain dry for all, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. Northern Ireland will also have a dry day. It'll be sunny here for most, with just a little bit of fair weather cloud at times, also feeling pleasant in the sunshine. So rain edging north and easing a little, drier to the north and south with sunny spells here. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It's 8:27. I'm Anne, and Stephen is in Codsall in the West Midlands, preparing for a big party in the park there, as I'm sure so many people are doing up and down the country, defying the rain, putting a brave face on the weather and getting on with it. Peter says, wonderful to see a broadcast from Dartmouth come back again. It was wonderful to see Dartmouth this morning, wasn't it? Pamela says, our Queen has a wonderful sense of humour, as does Prince Charles. It's been a brilliant Jubilee weekend, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. enjoyed. I remember the silver and gold jubilees each time better than the last one. We British really know how to celebrate. God save the Queen. And Spencer and Marlita in Derbyshire say, we just want to congratulate both of you, Stephen and me, I think you mean, and the team at GB News for the most amazing coverage of such a wonderful occasion. You have brought dignity, quality and fun to the event. Thank you. That's really nice to hear. And I need to call out to Margaret, who is 91 today and watching us. I'm not sure where you are because I've got a message from your daughter, Susan, who says, hi, Anne. We remember you from your early days on Central News because we're from Coventry. Quite right. So she said, my mum, Margaret, is 91 today and I'd love you to give her a mention. I'm watching you from La Marina in Spain and I last saw her this February. Thank you very much indeed. So, Margaret, happy 91st birthday today. Lovely to hear about you. Now, this is fascinating because an inclusive, so-called inclusive cycling race has become embroiled in controversy after two transgender women came in first and second place, leaving the top female competitor in third. To discuss this more and find out if this really means that women's sport is under threat in some way is the two-time Olympian, London Marathon runner-up and author Mara Yamauchi. Hello, Mara.
Good morning.
Hello. I mean, this is an extraordinary thing. It's very difficult to talk about these things without offending somebody, I guess. But if two transgender women won the female race, leaving the third person being the only person amongst those three who was born female, is that a threat in some way to women's sport? What's happening?
Yes, I think it absolutely is a threat. I should clarify that the categories that this event organiser provided in this race, they basically got rid of the previous men's and women's categories and they created new categories, which they've called Thunder and Lightning, respectively. However, they've used as a starting point male and female performances. So they are kind of using sex to divide the categories, but then they've said, if you're trans or non-binary, you can essentially choose the category in which you compete. So the lightning category, which was kind of what the women's category was, basically any male can turn up and say, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I want to go in this category. And that means that for females, competition is unfair and unsafe. But what I find even more alarming about this event is they've said cis people, and that's their use of the word cis. I don't use cis because I consider it an insult. They've said cis people cannot choose their category. So if you're just boring old male or female, you have to go in the formerly men's and women's categories. But if you're trans and non-binary, you can choose whichever category you want to go in. And this frankly makes a nonsense of organising sport in a way which is fair for everybody. They've said their event is fair and inclusive for all, but actually it's only fair and inclusive for males. It is not fair for females because both their categories are welcoming of males.
Yes, it's an extraordinary business. I mean, we all want to live in a society which is tolerant and accepting of people's various transgender issues. But I can't understand where this is going to go, because if you're born male, you have probably got a much stronger, bigger, taller physique, whether you go trans or not. And that means that it does create an unfair playing field for women, just as you've said. What's the answer?
Exactly as you said, but it's not even probably. If you are born male, you have much greater physical abilities on average than anyone born female. In running and swimming, for example, the advantage is around 10%, all the way up to about 160% in punching power. And cycling is around 10% as well. So women's sport is in a very serious place because males are self-identifying into the female category, and that means unfair and unsafe competition for females. And, national governing bodies need to act now to get males out of female sport, because the future of female sport is absolutely under threat. I would even say it's in crisis point, because females, if they see unsafe and unfair competition, they will self-exclude, even if they're not excluded by a male, as happened in this race 2 days ago. They will self-exclude. I know of women right now who, because they have to compete against males, are leaving their sport.
And that's tragic, but I can't understand how we're going to deal with this, because what you're saying is you can only compete in the gender category in which you were born, whether you are completely genuinely trans or not. But surely that's unfair as well on genuinely trans people.
Well, what matters in sport is your birth sex, of which there are two, male or female. And as we've just said, males have massive physical advantages compared to females. How you identify is totally irrelevant in sport. You know, you can identify as trans or non-binary, or you like to wear a dress, have long hair, vote Tory, vote Labour, religion. All these things are totally irrelevant in sport. What matters is sex, male or female. Other things like age, of course, also matter, disability and weight in sports like boxing. But identity, including gender identity, is totally irrelevant. So what matters is sex. So sports should be welcoming to all trans people, but they have to compete in the category of their sex to ensure fairness for females. If males, trans-identifying males, are allowed to self-identify and have special privileges and access to the female category, as we've seen in this cycling race, then it is unfair for females, and females will leave the sport.
What do you say, though, then, to somebody who has actually changed sex, born male and actually changed sex, completely gone through the whole process and has become a woman? What would you say to them? What category should they compete in?
So under the Gender Recognition Act, you can change your sex legally, but you cannot change your biological sex. Biological sex is fixed just after conception, and it remains fixed until we all die. You cannot change your biological sex. And the scientific evidence is very clear that testosterone suppression, which is used by males who wish to identify as women, does not remove male physical advantages entirely, and therefore competition is unfair. So to somebody who is legally female, I would say, fine, live your life as a woman, but you are biologically male, and therefore you cannot compete in the female category, because this is unfair, discriminatory and excluding of females.
There, thank you very much. I can see what an incredibly complex subject it is, and as you were saying, the effect it's having on female sport too. Maybe we'll throw that out to our viewers this morning. Don't forget, it's GB Views at gbnews.uk. Do stay with us, there's loads more to come. Stephen will be having a look through the papers any minute now.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own news from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It is 8:38. Very good morning to you. This is Breakfast on GB News. Live in Codsall in South Staffordshire this morning as we prepare for what should be a big sort of picnic in the park here. We've got a bit of bunting out. We're expecting some people perhaps to be setting things up already by now, but as you may have guessed, it's a little bit dreich this morning. And I tell you what, it causes a few problems, not only if you're planning a party or a street party, but if you're trying to set up an outside broadcast like this. Let me show you what happens when we're on Anne in London. Because then the teams have to run in like this, wipe everything down, and then you can see they're pushing all the water off our sort of roof here. So it's quite an... Oh, there you go. It's quite an adventure. There's a lot of water to be got rid of. But do you know what? We're British and we carry on. I've got my coat on, I've got a little heater down here, so I'm trying to stay a little bit warm. I've got my wellies on, so here we go. It's how we do it. We're not going to let the weather get in the way of a good party, that's what I say. Let's run you through the papers this morning. We'll start with the Mail on Sunday. It has a picture from the Queen's cameo appearance alongside Paddington Bear with the headline, Marmalade, as it were, Your Majesty. Love it. Rock and roll, says the Sunday Mirror, with a picture of the Queen's Brian May. Great shot of Brian at the party at the Palace last night. The Sunday Times has a picture of the Queen having tea with Paddington. The party of a lifetime for the world's grandmother, it says. The Sunday Express quotes Prince Charles, who said, "Thank you for being there for us." OK, let's have a look at those papers in a bit more detail. Once more this morning with royal broadcaster and commentator Rafe Hadel-Mancoux and our very own Neil Oliver. Good to see you both. And I have to say, Neil, because I've been chatting away to Rafe for the last 3 days now. Since I started at GB News back in December, one of the things I always wanted to do, and I said to our boss, I said, I want to meet Neil, because I love what you did when you were walking around on the BBC all those years ago, and then love what you talk about on GB News, because you just give us even though I don't agree with some of what you say, it's the fact that we can agree to disagree and just listen to your thought processes.
Well, that's the beauty of it. A conversation or a debate by definition has to have both sides or as many sides as possible of the conversation. Otherwise you're just broadcasting from some kind of party line. And I think the great relief of being involved in GB News is that I watch things on GB News and could shout at the screen in the same way that I would shout at the screen in the face of many other broadcasters, but that's entirely appropriate. But we're all in one newsroom together, and all those ideas are just bouncing off one another, and that's dynamic.
How it should be.
And that's how you come up with compromises, and it's how you come up with solutions, because you're hearing, and sometimes the solution comes from the most unexpected direction or the most unlikely source. But if you're not listening to everything, you miss out on the solutions and the compromises.
Yeah. Perfectly put. Look, Rafe, we're going to start with the Sunday Telegraph, should we? And looking at... I can't quite get my head around this. The House of Commons Library is going to be decolonised.
Can you imagine this? This is a leaked report from the House of Commons Library about an anti-racism plan, including a diversity audit. All of this following Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, which are uniquely American problems for an American situation. George Floyd has no relevance to this country. But it's funny how libraries around the UK and around the West are doing this. I mean, what's up with librarians today? When I was a kid, there were nice, sweet old ladies with glasses on a chain. Now they're radical revolutionaries leading the charge for wokery. It's quite bizarre, and it's just going to this wider problem of the takeover of our institutions that's been happening gradually over the past 25 years. Because they've come through the university system, they've been inculcated with things like critical race theory and gender studies and so forth, And you're seeing now, even in the heart of government, this is taking place. And if the Conservative government can't get literally its own house in order, I don't know what effect they think they're going to have on the rest of the country in leading the charge in the culture wars.
It's interesting that you say this as someone with a mixed heritage background.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the reality is Britain is not inherently racist. Britain actually ranks among the least racist countries. Northwestern Europe and South America, and every poll has been done in terms of who would you like to be living next to you, a person like yourself. These are the most tolerant countries in the world. If you want to see true racism, you go to China and see how blacks are dealt with there, or go to India and see how they look at other people. We're so fortunate to be here, and this constant obsessing over race only serves to inflame the situation and increase the division between people. We should celebrate the fact that we have such a wonderfully diverse nation.
I would say that this cancer has reached an institution like a library. I find almost the most sinister of all, because this is the road that leads to book burning. You know, if this way of thinking has got into something like a library in the Commons or wherever else, then that is truly troubling. Because as in all things, you know, have more books, have more ideas by all means, but to go into a library and think that there would be things that you need to get rid of, I find that dark.
Well, we don't learn and we don't develop by forgetting parts of our history, do we?
No, you've got to learn more. That's the whole point. And a library should be the richest, deepest reservoir possible of thought. By all means, broaden out the coverage that's available inside the library. But to go in with a mindset of thinking that something has to be undone, decolonised, that things presumably ought to be removed, that's sinister in the extreme.
It's worth noting that they've said that books that would normally be eliminated will be kept if they're from diverse authors or have a diverse connection. So purely based upon that tick box, they'll be kept in. But as we all know, basically, we've had a quiet revolution over the 25 years. You can have a revolution without flying red flags from the rooftops. The buildings may look the same, but there are cuckoos in the nest.
Let's talk something I'm quite fond of, which is a cheap flight in the Mail on Sunday. Now, the era of cheap flights could be done and dusted, so says the Mail.
I'll be honest and say I find it difficult to ascertain whether or not all the travel chaos is real, or whether in some way it's being, I don't know, even engineered as part of an ongoing campaign to keep everyone on edge and inconvenienced. I really don't know. However, the idea is there that the era of cheap flights is over. You know, there's a couple of generations probably have lived on the assumption that you can, you know, jump on a plane, you know, get to the Med or get to wherever, and that it's been within everyone's reach. And now, of course, as in so many areas of life, I think we're being expected to live smaller lives. I think that's the reality, and I find that troubling. Of course, the elites are going to continue to roam the world in their private jets, which are, you know, apparently infinitely more damaging to the environment anyway than, you know, the kind of domestic flights that you or I would make use of. And I think this is part of the green agenda. I think it's all part of a move to, you know, to demonise things like, you know, like flight. I think cheap flights have become like the new smoking. It'll be something that it's deemed, you know, detrimental to be, you know, to be taken advantage of. And I think it's all just part of a push to have us accept smaller, more limited lives.
Well, doesn't that sound depressing? Especially weather like this, where we want to see somewhere hot.
But it has to be resisted. You know, you know, if there's, you know, Rafe mentioned a quiet revolution that's been going on. There has to be resistance to it. You know, we don't have to sit down, lie down, and accept this new reality that's being handed to us. You know, everyone with a backbone, just get up and say no.
Well, very good point. Look, I can't believe how quickly your 3 appearances have whipped by this morning.
Is that
You're done.
true?
You're biffed. But you don't have to go in and enjoy the party. Neil, Rafe, thank you both very much indeed. Let's get a quick check on all the headlines for you this morning. Here's Tamsin.
Stephen, thank you. Good morning. It's 8:47. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales has paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection.
Immense regret that she cannot be here in person with us this evening. But Windsor Castle is barely 20 miles away. So if we cheer loudly enough, she might just hear us. So let's all join together.
Millions are set to gather for street parties across the country today, with more than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches being held. The Duke and Duchess of Cornwall will attend a feast at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex will meet people on the Long Walk leading up to Windsor Castle. Meanwhile, 10,000 people will stage a 2-mile-long carnival procession from Horse Guards Parade down the Mall to Buckingham Palace. And it's hoped Her Majesty the Queen will make an appearance on the palace balcony to round off the weekend celebrations. In other news, tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. Ukrainian forces have been on the counter-attack in the city of Severodonetsk over the last 24 hours. The Ministry of Defence says they've been able to slow Putin's momentum in the east of the country. Intelligence chiefs say Russian troops are poorly trained and equipped and lack resources. This is GB News. More from me in half an hour. Now, though, it's back to breakfast and Stephen and Anne.
And if you've just joined us, a very, very good morning. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. Slightly different this morning because Stephen is preparing for a big park party. I suppose it's not a street party, it's a park party in Codsall in the West Midlands. It's a bit damp there, but, you know, in true British style. And with his lovely Union Jack bow tie, looking very swish, he is going ahead and helping them prepare for this big party. So we'll join him again in a few moments. I tell you what, isn't it an amazing time? Would you believe that we would get to a point where the serious Sunday newspapers like The Telegraph and The Times have one big picture all over the front there, if you look at the Telegraph one, of Paddington Bear and the Queen. You couldn't have bet, could you? You couldn't have bet that that would be the ultimate picture of the Jubilee. But it is one of those, anyway, iconic moments that have been captured over these amazing 4 days. What do you think is the best picture for you? Well, joining us now to talk more about the significance of that sort of capturing that moment, Royal Editor Phil Dampier. Hello there, Phil.
Good morning, Anne.
Could you believe that Paddington Bear would be the ultimate picture, him and the Queen?
I couldn't believe Paddington Bear would be the ultimate picture. And as the author of the standard reference work, What's in the Queen's Handbag, I'm clearly now going to have to rewrite it. I'm going to have to rush it out with a new chapter to include the fact that she has her marmalade sandwiches in there, as was revealed last night to Paddington Bear. I thought it was absolutely enchanting. And, you know, when they started knocking their teacups with their spoons to We Will Rock You by Queen, yeah. I mean, it really was absolutely marvellous. I mean, people are comparing it to the 2012 Olympic spoof with Daniel Craig, but I think this one was almost better. And do you know what, Anne? I sat there thinking last night, this is our you know, monarch, our leader, head of state for the last 70 years. Spreading joy and happiness compared to other people in the world that we can mention. And you couldn't really get a greater contrast between good and evil, I don't think. And I think it really made the weekend. It's a shame she couldn't be there yesterday. But we saw her on the balcony on the first day, and we might possibly see her today. But I don't think the weather's going to be very good today. But it's been a fantastic 3 days.
It really has, hasn't it? Well, we're joined in the studio as well by Stephanie Tecchi, our wonderful showbiz editor. And I know that you found that moment incredible too.
I was literally... And it started the show off with a big bang. My mouth was just wide open.
I was almost tearful because they both mean so much to me. I've loved Paddington since I was tiny. And to see him interacting with the Queen, and she was up for
Best
it.
of the both worlds. And that's what I've always loved about the Queen, her sense of humour and how she can keep a surprise to herself. It's the same thing she done with the London Olympics in 2012 when she done that top secret thing with Daniel Craig, and now this, and I was just like, she's the Queen that keeps on giving, and she just knows how to tug her heartstrings the right way.
Yeah, I mean, Phil, she's 96 and she's still giving us lots of things to talk about, isn't she?
Well, it's absolutely incredible. You saw the emotion there with Prince Charles when he made that speech. I thought Prince William did very well as well. He seemed to be talking without notes. I thought Charles looked slightly nervous, but maybe that's because he knows what's going to come. But he wants his mother to continue for a long time, I think. And, yeah, it's going to be an impossible act to follow for him. It's going to be very, very difficult for him. But I think there's going to be a lot of goodwill towards him. People will understand it's a difficult act to follow.
Well, exactly. I think anyone who might have said, oh, we don't want him as king, he's not going to be anything like her and all the rest of it. Actually, he did show last night that he's got a sense of humour too, and that he enjoyed the occasion. When he asked the crowd to roar, and hopefully the Queen in Windsor Castle would be able to hear, and he raised his arm up and all the lights went like that, he understood the moment perfectly, didn't he?
Yeah, he was supposed to be calling for 3 cheers, I think, and he just overdid it and got the crowd going, getting a bit excited a bit too early. So I'm not sure he actually got the 3 cheers, but I'm sure she was watching it back at Windsor Castle, and I'm sure she was loving every minute of it. I think about 20 years ago, he kind of resented the fact that he was going to have to wait so long to become king, and he started to get a little bit frustrated. But I think he's relaxed into it in the last 20 years, partly because he's much happier in his private life with Camilla. Yeah. And you can see that now, and I think he's content to wait. But the fact that when he comes to the throne, he's not likely to get to a 25-year silver jubilee means we probably won't get another jubilee for, would you believe, 40-odd years. So we better make the most of this one.
Absolutely. Well, we are. Phil, thanks very much indeed. Stephanie, I mean, there's just no showbiz to talk about.
There is. That was just, I knew from yesterday, I knew that show was just going to be the creme de la creme of it all, to be honest. And the thing that I loved, I had my 5-year-old nieces with me, and they were going crazy when they saw the Paddington Bear moment, because it just touches all generations, that moment.
And all those big stars, I was thinking that your Brian Mays, your Diana Rosses, upstaged by a little fluffy bear.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't care who was on stage, it was all about Paddington Bear. And we finally know what the Queen keeps in her bag. Yeah. For years, people have always been speculating, and we know it's a marmalade sandwich now, which is great.
What did you think of Diana Ross?
I thought she was worth the wait. I thought she was out of all... There were a few acts on there, on Twitter, weren't really nice about some of the performances.
I wondered what she was wearing at first, because she did look as though she was wearing a tent.
I know,
but
she
thank
did.
Goodness she sort of let the black wrap.
And look at the earrings as well. The Diamante earrings were like the hair, everything. Yeah, it was a bit full on, that outfit, but I thought this is what... Yeah, Americans tend to go a bit OTT when they're doing these kind of performances. But in terms of her performance, she was flawless. And I even saw Kate singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough, which was good. I saw a lot of the royals having a sing-along yesterday. I was quite surprised by Prince George knowing the words to Sweet Caroline.
I didn't see that.
I was like, he's an 8-year-old and he was singing it word for word. It was incredible. Wow. Yeah.
That's unusual, isn't it? I kept falling asleep because it was on so late. I kept nodding off and missing a bit. But, yeah, I mean, the whole concert was magnificent. We've had viewers calling in, as it were, from all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, saying they stayed up to watch it and they've never seen a concert like it.
It was an iconic moment for all of us across the world to see this, and I think it's a reflection of how much the arts and the music scenes and all these celebrities love the Queen. All the video montages that were played out yesterday, incredible. It's the only way you could have really paid homage to her. But for me, one of the big things was the light show. And
I couldn't believe the drones.
See it? Oh.
The drones that were... I mean, how did they do that? They've all got lights and they animate in the sky.
Twitter last night, when I was scrolling for my feed, it was all about the drones moment. Obviously, you had the corgis up there, you had the Queen on the stamp. Yeah. It was incredible, it was magical, it was superb, and it is the best way to mark the Queen's
And I don't know whether
Jubilee.
it was deliberate, it must have been, but the way in the end they lit up all of that, the roundabout, basically, in front of the palace, and then the palace in the background, looked like a crown, didn't it?
Oh, it did. did.
I thought that can't have been accidental. It must have been.
No, that was very well planned. And the thing is, I know the BBC get a lot of stick in general, but for last night,
it was
we can't fault them.
No.
Like, they put on a show for us all to remember and celebrate.
And they got it dead right.
It was amazing. As you can see, all the feedback has just been incredible. It's been a magical moment.
Zara Tindall has said, and that's the Princess Anne's daughter, of course, married to Mike Tindall. She said to the crowd, her grandmother would be at home watching it in her comfy clothes.
To be honest, I thought the Queen probably had the best seat in the house. She probably saw everything that was going on, and I can imagine she was quite touched by it all, because seeing all those performances, and more than anything, Anne, that I loved, I just thought it was a good representation of British culture, all those performances.
There are quite a lot of Americans in the lineup.
I know. One of my friends was like, "Oh, Alicia Keys, like Diana Ross," but again, the Queen is a worldwide figure, so we all love her. So it was incredible.
I know, it really was wonderful, wasn't it? Please get in touch with us and tell us your favourite bit of last night. I think from beginning to end, and I'm definitely going to watch it properly when I get home. I've got a recording of it.
What was your favourite bit?
Oh, definitely Paddington Bear. I mean, I just wanted to weep. They're my two most favourite people, the Queen and Paddington Bear. I've always wanted Paddington Bear to come to tea with me, but sadly, not this time. He went.
You never know, Anne. You never know.
Please do stay with us. We've got lots more for you here on Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning. As we start the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, I'm live here in Codsall in South Staffordshire, where locals here and people across the country, of course, are preparing for street parties, barbecues, family celebrations, whatever it may be. And it's all part of the big Jubilee lunches being held right across the UK. A very good morning to you. It is 9 o'clock on Sunday, the 5th of June, a Jubilee Bank holiday weekend, of course, and this is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anne. Well, we are the People's Channel. That's why we like to get out and about to meet as many of you as we possibly can. And if we're not in your area, then, of course, you don't have to miss a thing, because we are on your TV, on your radio and online. And this is what we've got for you today. More than 85,000 big Jubilee lunches are being held across the UK as Platinum Jubilee celebrations finally and sadly draw to a close. Last night, so, millions watched as Prince Charles and Prince William paid a special tribute to the Queen at a star-studded Party at the Palace concert. Artists including Alicia Keys, Rod Stewart and Diana Ross entertained the crowds outside Buckingham Palace as Prince George and Princess Charlotte watched on. Well, what was the moment of the night? The monarch surprising everyone with a special appearance alongside Paddington Bear.
Plus, I'll be speaking to one of our GB viewers who'll be sharing their memories from the coronation. And don't forget, the most important person, as Stephen was saying, is you. We'd love to hear your views on just about anything today. Do get in touch, gbviews@gbnews.uk. And of course,
well, loads
Stephen,
of you getting in touch already, of course. Oh, sorry, Anne. Sorry, go on.
No, it was bound to happen, wasn't it? Tell you what, I've been looking with envy at that cake. Is there any of it left on that side that we can't see?
No, there is. I mean, there's a fair big chunk gone out of it, Anne, I've got to admit. Actually, it's what I was going to say. Andy in Mansfield says, I hope it's a sugar-free cake, Stephen. And Mary and Christian Solihull have sent me an email saying, step away from the cake, Stephen.
Yes.
I've got to be careful. I am a type 1 diabetic, but I have been enjoying a little bit of the cake this morning. I've just been nibbling away, Anne, because I haven't got a knife or anything here. So I've been having the odd little the odd little nibble when I thought I wasn't being recorded.
Yeah, but you were.
You know you'd do the same, man.
Yeah, well, I've got something to show you because, frankly, Paddington, as I was saying earlier, is one of my favourite ever people. And Her Majesty isn't the only one who keeps the marmalade sandwich in her handbag. I tell you what, can I also show you something else which I've only just discovered? Because we went out and we got some bread today. And look, advertising permitted. It's a Union Jack Hovis, right? And the marmalade, of course, has Paddington Bear on it. Isn't that astonishing?
Oh.
It's brilliant. I do like a marmalade sandwich, though. How cold are you? How cold are you, my dear?
No, it's not too bad, Anne. Honestly, it's not too bad. It's a bit dreek, but you know, it's okay. To be fair, I have got a little heater in between my feet down here, which is all well and good, apart from my wellies are starting to melt a little bit. But you know, it's how it works on an outside broadcast. It's all part of the fun, as you know.
When I thought I was going to join you, which that was last night, I ordered one of these for you. And actually, you see, you'd be able to go out and about there, interviewing people and talking to people, wouldn't you, with one of these? So I thought of you.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Well, I was hoping to have a wander with and see some of the people as you were setting up today, but sadly, there's 3 people behind me in ponchos, but that's it. So we might have to ditch that one. We shall have to see. But anyway, I'm sure the people will be gathering, and you've just got to do what you can in weather like this, and we're not going to let it spoil our fun. I mean, that's the main thing, I think.
Well, I've already started on the marmalade sandwich.
Good. You enjoy, Anne. We'll come back to you in a couple of minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Lovely. There she goes. Now, it is the final day of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, with more than 85,000 parties across the UK, all being prepared as part of the big Jubilee lunch. Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall will join the public for a lunch at the Oval Cricket Ground in South London. Today we'll also see the Platinum Jubilee Pageant. That's marching up the Mall, depicting iconic moments from the Queen's 70-year reign. Well, last night, the Platinum Party at the Palace was met with huge praise. We had performances from Queen, as you can see there, George Ezra, Craig David and the Eurovision runner-up Sam Ryder filling the star-studded lineup. Sadly, as we know, the Queen wasn't able to attend, though we knew that was very, very unlikely for this sort of event. However, she did make an appearance, and one that you will not forget, in an opening sketch alongside another iconic British figure. Let's have a look.
Perhaps you would like a marmalade sandwich. I always keep one for emergencies.
So do I. I keep mine in here.
Oh.
For later.
Happy Jubilee, ma'am. And thank you for everything.
That's very kind.
Oh, do you know, I could cry from that. In fact, oh, here we go. Bev in Minnesota. Minnesota, of all places. Says, favourite part of the Platinum Party was Her Majesty in Paddington Bear. I started crying. I could absolutely understand that. It's an incredibly touching and incredibly sort of human look at Her Majesty. I just thought it was absolutely lovely. Well, look, let's see what our very own royal reporter, who was there last night, what Cameron Walker, what he made of it. He's at Buckingham Palace again for you this morning. What did you think, Cameron?
Stephen, it was a spectacular concert from start to finish. A crowd of 22,000 people with, as you've been mentioning, some proper A-list celebrities. Sam Ryder, Britain's or the UK's Eurovision entry, was performing, and Queen started it all off, and Diana Ross, of course, with that spectacular finale. But perhaps the biggest surprise and the biggest highlight for me and many people sat around me was the surprise of Her Majesty the Queen making a cameo appearance with Paddington Bear. Totally unexpected, and totally unexpected to people in the royal box who was sat just to my right. It was kept a secret for months, I've been told, and it was filmed at Windsor Castle. And Buckingham Palace have said in a statement that the Queen felt the opportunity to invite Paddington Bear for tea was just too good to miss. They went on to say Her Majesty is well known for her sense of humour, so it shouldn't be a surprise that she decided to take part in the comedy sketch. They also added that while the Queen was not able to attend the concert in person, she was very keen that people understood just how much it meant to her that all those watching were having a really good time. Now, Stephen, in the last hour or so, people have started to rehearse here at Buckingham Palace for the Platinum Jubilee Pageant, which is going to be an incredible kind of 6,000 people performing from Westminster Abbey up to Buckingham Palace. It's getting incredibly loud here. It kicks off at 2:30, so stay tuned on GB News for the very latest on that.
Lovely stuff, Cameron. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we've been talking about all the street parties, the big Jubilee lunch, which is taking place about 85,000 places across the UK. It's going to be huge. The weather is not great, though. Let's see what's happening here in Codswell. I'm joined by councillors Meg Barrow and Val Chapman. Good to see you both this morning. Val, can I start with you?
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, obviously, the weather is a bit problematic.
So
what are the plans?
So what are the plans? Well, I think it's still going to go ahead because we're British. I'm hoping that's the case. I spoke with the chairman at about 10 to 8 this morning, and he wasn't too sure. But I think we'll have a go. We'll put the marquees up and see what happens, and hopefully it'll clear up. So we'll see where we go with Codswell.
Well, I see if you've got a marquee, what more do you need, Meg?
Well, as long as the band's in the marquee, they're protected, so we'll all stand outside and dance on the grass.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
I mean, how important has today, well, not just today, but I mean the whole weekend, but then planning for what you're doing here today, how important has it been for the community, do you think?
It's just so important for the community to all get together and celebrate and appreciate what the Queen has done for us over 70 years. We're very lucky in this country to have someone like the Queen. And I think it also brings all the people together. We've all celebrated her reign, and the people of Codswell are great. They come out, they support us, and we all have a great time together, which is the main thing.
I mean, I sort of think this. What has really struck me, Val, throughout these celebrations, is that this is about community.
It is.
And Codswell is clearly a really nice, tight community.
It's a very tight community, and on that note, on Thursday we had the lighting of the beacon, and we only knew 3 weeks ago we were going to have the beacon. So there are only 6 of us on our working group. We went into overdrive to make sure we would advertise it along with today. Anyway, here we were on Thursday, putting the marquee up and hoping a few people would come along for the lighting of the beacon. A few came in and a few more, and before we knew where we were, it was over 1,200 people. It was a fabulous night for the community of Cotsall, wasn't it?
Really, really good event, really good.
I tell you what, though, you two and the 4 others, you must have worked your socks off over the past few months, haven't you?
We've had some fun.
We work hard together.
We do.
Obviously, the weather's the one thing we can't do anything about.
Yeah.
So we just have to get on with it. That's the fighting spirit.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Well, we are British after all,
Exactly, exactly. What do we expect?
Yeah, this is right. And I have to say, seeing as we've sort of invaded your party, as it were, when did you get the nod about us going? Are you sort of quite pleased to have a bit of attention on your little village?
A couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
About 3 weeks ago,
3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bit it took us back a little bit, and then, but this is great fun. How lovely to have Cotsall on television.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite to interview lots of people, I hope.
Oh, yeah, well, we're here all day.
Yes.
And I know Alistair Stewart will be getting stuck into chatting away to a few people, and I think Farage is here a little bit later on, isn't he? So they'll be chatting away to everybody.
Yes.
There's no excuse for not talking to us today.
I would hasten to add that I did give our chairman's mobile number to the crew, so it would be lovely if you invited Councillor Martin Adams to speak.
I'm sure he will be being brought on. Yeah. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. You've got to keep the boss happy, haven't we?
Well, yes, I think so.
know how these things work. Look, Val, Meg, thank you very much indeed, and I hope it turns out to be a wonderful day.
It's just so lovely to have you all here.
Smashing.
Great.
I'm very glad you let us come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Codsall, I'll be coming back to Codsall. Let me tell you, it's a lovely little spot. It was very nice on the drive through this morning, and your youngsters make fantastic cake.
They do.
So what can I say?
Okay.
Okay, let's get a roundup of all the rest of the news for you this morning. Here's Tamsin.
Thank you.
Stephen, thank you. Good morning. It's 9:14. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales has paid tribute to the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee concert, thanking her for a lifetime of selfless service. Prince Charles also spoke of his late father, the Duke of Edinburgh, who he said was there in spirit. As 22,000 people gathered outside Buckingham Palace, the future king described events over the Jubilee weekend as an outpouring of warmth and affection.
Immense regret that she cannot be here in person with us this evening. But Windsor Castle is barely 20 miles away. So if we cheer loudly enough, she might just hear us. So let's all join together.
Tube services across the capital will be severely disrupted tomorrow because of a strike by thousands of workers in a dispute over jobs and pensions. Transport for London is advising people to avoid travelling as members of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union will walk out for 24 hours. Many stations, especially those in central and south London, will be closed, while stations that can be opened may only operate for limited periods. Ukraine's capital, Kiev, has been rocked by several explosions after a relatively calm couple of weeks there. Smoke could be seen drifting over the city early this morning as emergency services responded to incidents in 2 separate districts. At least 1 person's been taken to hospital. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces have been on the counter-attack in the city of Severodonetsk over the last 24 hours. The UK's Ministry of Defence says they've been able to slow Putin's momentum in the east of the country. Intelligence chiefs say Russian troops are poorly trained and lack resources. Luhansk's governor says control of the city is now split 50-50. The Prime Minister will this week update the country on how the NHS is dealing with the COVID-19 backlog. Boris Johnson described work being done by the government as the NHS's biggest ever catch-up programme. Meanwhile, Health Secretary Sajid Javid says the government is putting more money into health and social care than any other has done before, but there is no quick fix. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens now. It's back to breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Tamsin, thank you. Do you know what I like about this country and this job in particular? Because I get to meet an awful lot of people in this job and have over the 30 years I've been in this business. You meet a lot of people. I have a friend called Sybil who works in Parliament, actually. She's very nearly 80 years old. She's 80 in a couple of months, still working away. She's just sent me a text saying that Meg Barrow, one of the councillors we just had on, is one of her oldest friends. Would you believe it? I've known Sybil for 20 years. Then come up here, meet somebody brand new, and they're best of friends. What a small, strange world we live in. But isn't that lovely? People all being brought together, and even just across the airwaves like that. Absolutely fantastic. Now, these big Jubilee lunches that Meg and Val have been organising here today are taking place up and down the country. So we thought we'd send our reporters out and about to keep us up to date. So first, let's head over to our East Midlands reporter, Will Hollis, who's in the fabulous Castle Donington in Leicestershire for us. Morning, Will. What's going on there?
Good morning. Well, it's probably quite the similar picture to everywhere else in the country. A little bit of rain, but the parties are still going on. We're setting up here in Castle Donington. You can see lots of people going around in high-vis jackets, a little bit of an army. And as far down as you can go, across Borough Street right here in the heart of Castle Donington in northwest Leicestershire, people are setting up these tables. Somebody's going to have to go along with a massive tea towel and wipe these down later. But from what I've been told, people aren't really too fussed. We're going to be proper British about this. One thing that is proper British about a party is having a little bit of a tipple. You can only celebrate with a tipple and a cake. And one of the people here who is celebrating and hopefully might sell a little bit of wine today is business owner Carl, who owns Honest Wine here. Castle Donington, how big is this celebration going to be for Castle Donington?
Apparently it's going to be huge. I think we've been waiting for quite a long time. That's 2.5 years. Obviously things have changed a bit in the world. And so, you know, everybody's been waiting for a bit of a party. And we did this a few years ago for the last Jubilee, so it's going to be huge for us today.
And it's an incredible number, 1,000 people. I don't think I've met 1,000 people in my life. Is that genuine? Is there really going to be 1,000 people on this high street?
I understand there is, yes, and probably more because people haven't booked tables, so people are just going to wander down and chat as well, so there'll be a lot of people about.
And even the rain isn't going to put people off. I'm sure people aren't going to be put off from having a little bit of a tipple as well. What is the drink of choice today? Is it a red wine? Is it a wine? Is it a beer?
I think it's fizz. Something with bubbles in it. It's a celebration at the end of the day, so it'll be champagne, Prosecco, Cave, whatever they fancy, but it's going to have some bubbles in it.
Well, I hope you've got plenty of stock. Carl, don't go anywhere. We'll say hello to you a little bit later as well. There's loads of people that are going to be out here in Castle Donington, and I'm sure streets just like this across the country are going to be filled as well.
Will, thank you very much indeed. The nice thing is, when you're out and about in the cold, Will, like me, you need to get someone to fetch you one of these nice little serviettes sort of thing, like a sort of Jubilee sort of serviette, so you can dab your nose with something classy and tasteful. That's what I like in the morning. So that's what's going on in the East Midlands. What about South Yorkshire and Doncaster? One of 8 towns to be given city status as part of the Jubilee celebrations, actually. And Anna Riley is there for us this morning. Morning, Anna.
Good morning, Stephen. Yes, as you say, Doncaster was given city status as part of the Jubilee. And I'm joined by Jenny. She has been working tirelessly across the, well, weeks, months to prepare for the Jubilee. Jenny, just tell us, what's it been like to get city status for Doncaster?
Oh, it's wonderful news. As you say, we've been planning the events for some time, and the city status is just the cherry on top of the cake. It's wonderful for Doncaster. Gives us an opportunity to grow all the things that we do, not just the events, but the borough itself, the aspiration, the businesses, and to give people more reason to come to Doncaster, invest in Doncaster, and enjoy what we've got here. It's a great opportunity for all of us, and we hope to inspire people to pick up on that city status and really go for it.
And it's the last day, isn't it, of all the Jubilee festivities. It's raining, but that's not going to dampen spirits here, is it?
No, there's one thing we can't do, and we can't plan the weather. But we're open. It's the last day of the food festival. We've had Rusty Lee, we've had Ainsley Harriott, we've had Johnny Marsh. Loads of fantastic cooking demonstrations and things going on here. The smells, you can't smell it, but it smells wonderful. The street food stalls. Today's all about food, so it's our Jubilee party in the marquee. We've turned the marquee into a pop-up restaurant, and we'll be serving street food in the restaurant from lunchtime.
Definitely. Well, I'll be getting some of that street food as well. It looks delicious. So, yes, that's it, Stephen. The party's getting arranged for this afternoon. We're going to have the street food, and it's going to be great. Can't wait. We won't let the rain stop us.
Yeah, that's the way, Anna. Thank you very much indeed. Anna Riley always looks happy and smiley. It's one of the joys of talking to her in the morning. Thanks, Anna. Look, loads of people getting in touch this morning. It just reminded me as I was having a cup of coffee this morning that Heather in Windsor got in touch about half an hour or so ago. Morning to you, Heather. She says around 1951, my mother worked in the Royal Box at the Royal Albert Hall, and she told me the Queen Mother drank her tea from a teaspoon. Well, there's a little bit of a royal insider bit of information for you. The Queen Mother drank her tea from a teaspoon. That must have taken a long time to get through a cup of tea, but each to their own. That's what I say. We've got plenty more still to come in just a couple of minutes, including a look back at the Queen's coronation. So don't go anywhere.
Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK will be cloudy with outbreaks of thundery rain in central and southern areas, drier and brighter elsewhere. Here's the details. Southwest England will be rather cloudy, especially towards the northeast, with some showers at times. There'll also be some bright or sunny spells, these mainly in the west. It will remain mostly cloudy in the southeast, with showery rain becoming lighter and patchier. Some bright or sunny spells may also develop in the south. South Wales will also be mostly cloudy with hill fog in places. There will also be outbreaks of showery rain, which will tend to ease. It'll be a cool feeling day across the Midlands, and it will remain cloudy or overcast throughout. Outbreaks of heavy, at times thundery rain will ease and turn patchier from the south. The northeast of England will remain generally dry, although cloud will steadily increase from the south, with sunny spells in the north. A fresh easterly breeze will also limit temperatures along the coast. It'll be another fine day across southern Scotland. There'll be plenty of sunshine on offer here and remain dry for all, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. Northern Ireland will also have a dry day. It'll be sunny here for most, with just a little bit of fair weather cloud at times, also feeling pleasant in the sunshine. So rain edging north and easing a little, drier to the north and south with sunny spells here. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
(9:27) and a very good morning to you. If you've just joined us, we're celebrating this special last day of the Jubilee with a sort of special programme this morning. It is breakfast with Stephen and Anne, but Stephen is in Codsall in the West Midlands, where the rain seems to be clearing up a bit and it's looking quite bright. They're looking forward to a party in the park, and I'm back down here in the studio reflecting on a fantastic Jubilee weekend. Wasn't it amazing last night? But it is not over yet, because we want to hear your stories. Are you having a party today? Maybe you're already partied out. Or do you wish it would just go on? This feel-good feeling would carry on forever. Well, our next guest remembers the Queen's coronation, and I gather from everybody who knows it, it was a bit like that then. She is GB News viewer Hilary Marshall, who joins me now. Hello there, Hilary.
Hello, Anne. How are you?
Oh, and who's that with you?
This is Sophie, and she's 14.
Is she indeed? She's doing well too. I can't believe, looking at you, Hilary, I can't believe you're old enough to remember the coronation.
I'm 74.
My goodness, congratulations. So you were just a toddler when it happened, really?
I was actually 6, and I remember watching the coronation on a 9-inch TV with a big monitor magnifier over the front of it.
I remember those. Yeah, I remember those funny old TVs where it had an enormous magnifying glass in the front, didn't it? Everything looked a bit distorted. And I see that you're joining us, you're watching us from Spain.
I am. I actually live in Javier, which is in the Costa Blanca, and I've lived over here for 23 years.
Oh, congratulations. Lovely place. I bet the weather there is a bit better than it is for Stephen at the moment. And I know that you were looking through an old album and you found a photograph of yourself, I think, at the time of the coronation.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Have you?
Yeah, we should have it. There we are. Isn't that? Who's in that photograph there?
Yes, everybody else is passed on. Just me left.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, that's one of those, a bit like for the Queen, that's a multi-generational photograph, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Old and young.
My father at the back, and he was a fireman during the Blitz, with all the awful fires all over London. Dreadful. He would actually never talk about it.
No, I know, but you just wish you'd interviewed all of them, because they all had memories that sadly are lost. But you've got the photograph, which is important. I know that you've been enjoying watching everything Jubilee-wise, but you sort of feel an empathy with the Queen, don't you? Because, like her, you were widowed during COVID, weren't you?
Yes. My husband died of cancer, and I could only see him 3 times during the time he was in hospital, and he had to go to be cremated on his own, which was terrible. And I now live here on my own with my little dog.
Yes, well, again, like the Queen, you love your little dog. But it is extraordinary, and I know you felt that sense of tremendous empathy when you saw that now famous picture of the Queen sitting in the church, all on her own, wearing a mask and everything.
I know how she felt.
Yes, you do.
You can't describe it to anyone who hasn't had that, you know. I mean, we've all suffered deaths, but I felt really sorry for her. I felt there should have been someone with their arm around her.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
What do you think?
Woman.
What do you think of the Jubilee, and what do you think of her?
I think she's an incredible lady, and I don't know how she keeps going. I mean, I'm 74, and I don't think I could do what she does.
No, you're a youngster compared to her, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think it's time for her to have a rest and let other people take over. and for her to rest and enjoy herself. That's my opinion.
Well, I think that's what she's now doing. You get very much this sense now that it's sort of the end of an era. We probably are going to see a lot less of her, and we're going to accept the new generation in. I don't think there'll be there won't be another Jubilee, but there won't ever be quite the sort of moment, the uplifting feel that we have now. And you've been able to feel that even in Spain.
Absolutely. I've watched everything. Do you know what?
Oh, we're not going to know. That's sort of like a cliffhanger, isn't it? We'll try and get Hillary back to see when she said, you know, and then we don't know. But we'll see. We'll see if we can get communications up again. Meanwhile, shall we see what Stephen is? Oh, no, hang on, Stephen. Let's go to Hillary. I think Hillary's back. Oh, good. Sorry about that.
Have you heard of the Festival of Britain?
You mean that happened way back?
Yeah, that happened in the 1950s.
That's right.
And I remember being taken to Battersea Fun Fair with my mother and my grandmother, who lived till she was 103.
Wow.
And on the way there, she had a problem with her eye and ended up at Moorfields Eye Hospital. And I ended up in the nursery at Battersea Fun Fair. That was something, I remember that clearly.
Oh, wonderful memories. Wonderful memories, Hillary. Thank you so much for joining us. And keep watching. Keep watching. Yeah, absolutely. We will take care. You take care too. A lot of people who get in touch are watching us from all over the world, and most of them say it's the way, by watching GB News, it's a sort of way of keeping one foot still in Britain. Lovely, isn't it? I tell you what, somebody who's got 2 feet both in his wellies, apparently, is Stephen in Codsall at the moment. Should we see what he's up to? There he is. Still with your cake in front of you, as though you're not eating it. How are you?
Well, no, I know. I mean, look at that, Anne. I have taken a big slice out of it. I've got to be honest. No, I'm fine. And do you know what's lovely, Anne, is that the weather is fairing up. I just went for a little bit of a wander while you were talking to Hillary, and although it's spitting, but that's as bad as it's got. Good. So you sort of have got to have hope that the party here can go on today. There's posters all up and down the village saying it's going to go on, so hopefully it will all happen. There's going to be a band, marquees set up, there's going to be a band on, there's loads happening. So hopefully the weather is going to be kind and all of this can go on, not just for us here in Codsall, but of course for those 85,000 parties up and down the country. Just want to really mark this last day of the Jubilee with something special.
Yeah. Della has called in and says, I love the dogs trotting around in the background behind Stephen. So British. And it rather is, isn't it? Do stay with us and do get in touch, because we've still got time to get your views in. gbviews@gbnews.uk. Tell us what you think and what you're planning for today. There's plenty more to come in the final half hour of the programme this morning.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick.
Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
It is 6:37, morning to you. This is Breakfast on GB News with Stephen and Anna. I'm in Codsall in South Staffordshire, where the weather is improving ahead of the big Jubilee lunch here today, as well as in 85,000 places across the United Kingdom. Someone I know who is looking forward to it is the Reverend Philip Robertson, who joins me. It's good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
You were just saying to me, just before we came on air there, it's Pentecost Sunday.
It is, yes, yeah. When we remember in the church that God gave his Holy Spirit to the church. That's what grew the church. Yeah, it's a gift for failures. Peter, who was one of the first apostles, he was a great failure, but God used him, and it gives us all great hope that, you know, when the Queen gives success and gives honours, it's for people who are successful. But when God gives honours of the Holy Spirit, he gives it to people who are failures, because he's a gracious God, a really good God. Yeah.
And you know, it's worth remembering, because it's as we look towards a bigger community spirit, as the Queen has wanted us to do throughout this Jubilee. I mean, there's very much a sense that within a community, we have to embrace everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and those who have failed in the past,
Yeah.
which, to be fair, is most of us.
Yeah.
So you think it's a good message? It's good that this is all ending on Pentecost Sunday.
I think one of the great things about the Queen is that she's obviously got a very strong personal Christian faith, and she's not afraid of making that known right from a very early age. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about her, being a clergyman in the Church of England, that's obvious. But she's also somebody that is, as you say, willing to embrace other people and realise that we all have to live together. And she's a wonderful example of just how that can be achieved. So, yeah, I think that's one of the great things about her.
Can I ask about, because one of the things which the monarchy has had to do, and Prince Charles has actually sort of done it in many ways, in quite a public way, but we've got to look at being, you know, we are a multi-faith country now. How important is it within the, certainly within the Church of England, that I mean, do you work with other faiths? Is there a faith community, or in that sense? How does that work?
There are groups that work together, and it is good to have dialogue with people. So, for example, very practical level, we have a carers and toddlers group every Tuesday, and there are lots of Muslim women that come to that, and I'm just so thrilled that they don't feel they're going to be excluded because they have a different faith. We obviously are keen that they would see the wonders of Jesus, but you know, one of the important things, we're all human beings. We're all created by God to live in this world together. It's our humanity which is one of the great uniting things about us.
It's interesting for me and my faith is that I sort of think that there's a lot to be said for goodness and kindness and love. I mean, for whoever it comes from. Yeah. And I think if we've had 4 days, haven't we, of celebrating kindness and love and thankfulness for what the Queen has done, and that is in and of itself very important, isn't it, as human beings?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the great moments in her life, she demonstrates forgiveness in a very, very practical way. She had personal experience of deep grief because of the Northern Ireland crisis. And then she went to Northern Ireland and she shook the hand of Martin McGuinness. And just the encouragement that was for people, I think, to see that the way forward is to be willing to forgive. If we're not willing to forgive people for deep hurts they've caused us, we're we're fighting a losing battle.
Just as we wrap up with you, because I'm being yelled at in my ear because
Okay.
we're running out of time, how important is it that we give... because there's been a lot of giving thanks, and the service and support on Saturday, of course. How important is it that when things go right for us and we have something to celebrate, that we do give thanks to God for that?
I think it's very important. And I think that's one of the important things about the Queen. It's just a shame the media perhaps hasn't made more of it, is that her personal faith, I think, has played such a huge part in making her the woman she is. She started off as a young woman saying, 21, I'm asking you to pray for me and I will do my best. And I think one of the things that's wonderful about the Queen is it's a demonstration of the power of answered prayer, to see that she has upheld her promise and is continuing to do so.
OK, Reverend Robertson, good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy today.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you will.
I will, yeah.
Thank you. Well, look, as we prepare to head back to Anne in London, you can just see they are setting things up here. Things are getting underway. We're getting the tents up and about. There you go. So it's full steam ahead, Anne.
Yeah, I can see the steam rising already. It's interesting that the Reverend there will like those words of John Betjeman I've just read in the Daily Mail today. He was Poet Laureate for the Silver Jubilee. And he said, in days of disillusion, however low we've been, to fire us and inspire us, God gave to us our Queen. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is, isn't it? And lots of people have been getting in touch saying how lovely it is to see you out and about, even though if there aren't many people behind you. Clearly things are going to go ahead despite the rain anyway now.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, that's a good thing. It seems like, you know, someone is smiling on us this morning, Anne, because things are getting much better. And it's nice. I love the fact that people have got in touch to say that it's nice to see us out and about, because, as we keep saying, Anne, we are the People's Channel.
Oh, yes.
And that's all about getting involved in the communities that we serve as a broadcaster. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how you're doing with the cake, but my marmalade sandwich is going down quite well, actually. A marmalade sandwich is actually really nice. You ought to try it. It's very easy to do and really lovely. In fact, on the subject of marmalade, Stefan in Surrey says, drop jam on your scones, go for marmalade instead, scones or scones. Marmalade or cream first, it doesn't matter, as look, it's so much better than jam, honestly, controversial or what. Thanks very much, Stefan. So here we are, still highlighting the people organising street parties right across the country as part of the big Jubilee lunch. So shall we cross now live to GB News' Northern Ireland reporter, Doogie Beattie. Hello there, Doogie, where are you?
Hello there. Yes, I'm in Killilea. We were here on Thursday night for the lighting of the beacon. Of course, Killilea has brought us so much. Vaccines for smallpox and milk chocolate. Of course, the man that invented that came from here, Hans Sloane. But someone with more culinary delights is Janine Boyle. She's with me now. She runs the local B&B here. And she's running a barbecue here this afternoon. And she's going to tell us just exactly what it involves.
Yeah, it's all the excitement's happening here in Killilea with the backdrop of Killilea Castle. We have barbecues up and down the street, an extra long table with chairs for everyone to sit and relax, numerous artists playing music, Celtic dancers, Scottish dancers, a DJ, so lots of entertainment, lots of kids entertainment, face painters, everything. Basically, I think we all need this. After COVID, we're not going to be around again ever to see a Jubilee, Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration. So it's all about bringing the community together, having some fun, giggles, dancing, food, and come along, come join us.
And who funded all this? I mean, where does it all come from?
It's the Newry Morning Down District Council and the European Union's Peace 4 programme. KCA is the Killilea Community Association, so there's a group of about 14 of us. And it's basically been 3 months in the making of pulling it all together and bringing everyone together, and fingers crossed for a bit of sunshine and it all comes together today.
Well, I mean, Killilea really has been together on this. I mean, it has been so much cross-community. Do you feel it here?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, we have litter pickers out every Sunday making Killilea beautiful. We're now planting flowers. Very important. It's community. It's all. I have guests coming from all over the world, and they'll walk down the street and someone will say hello to them, and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, Killyleagh is so friendly. It's so beautiful."
It is indeed so friendly, so beautiful, and it all kicks off here at about 12 o'clock. So if you're out and about, please come on down and join in the barbecue.
Yeah, and we at GB News will be showing it off too, I'm sure. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we are out and about big time today, covering the whole country if we possibly can, the whole of the GB, with GB News. Finding out what's going on, let's now cross to our East of England reporter, Ed Crawford, who is in Newmarket, I think.
Good morning. Yes, thank you for joining me. I am in Newmarket. I'm on Palace Street at the moment because here in Newmarket, they're setting up a street party. They've had a very busy weekend where a lot of people have been out celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Now, one of the places that is setting up some interesting bits and pieces for day is this coffee shop, Victoria. They're setting up an outside bar to facilitate some of the celebrations for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And I am joined by Victoria.
Hello, hello.
So, Victoria, can you tell me, have you had a busy weekend? Have people been out in high spirits celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee?
Oh, certainly. We've had a really bumper weekend. Friday was a big day for us. Sun was shining, there was a procession on the high street, and we've set up a wonderful outside bar and with pina colada slushies and children's slushies. So it was certainly, it was full all out here, all inside. It was wonderful to see, yes.
Fantastic. And I can see you've got a lot of people in here. It's kicking off already. Can you just tell me, what does the Queen mean to you?
Oh, to me, that's a good question, Ed. Right, I think to me, devotion to her country, service and duty, just being there for us. I think, yes, devotion to service and duty over the last...
Fantastic. Well, it seems like it's really going to be a busy weekend. And, you know, I know people are saying, oh, the weather's a bit bad, but do you think the weather's going to put a damper on spirits, or are people going to be out and about?
I think people are already out and about. What's the time? 9:45, and it's quite a full coffee shop. I think people will be coming out more and more. People want to celebrate, I think, afternoon teas, coffees, cakes, pastries, and maybe the odd sort of little beverage. Afternoon teas, I think people will certainly come out, yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us, and I hope anybody out there has a fantastic time celebrating the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Thanks very much, Ed. It's lovely to see people are out and about, even though it is a bit damp today. So early in the morning, there's a lot to do if you're organising a street party. Do get in touch with us and tell us what you're planning at the moment. If indeed you're changing your plans because the weather is so poor, or you're just determined in true British stiff upper lip style to go ahead with it no matter what. Some of our best memories have been under umbrellas, haven't they? Shall we cross back to Steve and see what he's doing?
Thank you very much indeed. Look, we were talking to Val earlier on, one of the organisers, and so I thought I'd collar her husband, Richard. Good to see you this morning.
It's just nice to be here.
It is, isn't it? I bet you
rain,
do.
sunshine, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have been doing a lot of work alongside Anne for all of this, haven't you? Val, and not our Anne.
Well, Anne as well. We've got an Anne, we've got a Megan, we've got a Val.
Oh, let me just get you to. Oh, you've got to hold that there. You turn into a professional TV presenter by the end of this, Richard.
I'll try.
Yeah, you'll try.
I don't want your job though.
Look, what has it been like prepping for all of this?
Oh, it's been great fun. It really has. There have been about 6 or 7, 8 of us. We've worked quite hard to get everybody interested. We've done a lot of delivering of leaflets. We've got Shane, who organises all the gazebos. We've got a couple who organise the food and the stalls. It's going to be fantastic fun. And the weather's going to clear up for 12 o'clock when it starts.
It's getting better.
It is.
Let's have a wander over to these
forecast
gazebos.
Was it stops raining at 12 o'clock.
Oh.
And
is it really?
Again, yes, and it starts again after 4 o'clock.
Right. Oh, well, fair enough. Perfect timing for you.
Absolutely.
So who've we got going in these gazebos over here? Because you've got a band on, haven't you?
We've got the ukulele band in the big gazebo, and they did 2 hours for us on Friday when we were lighting the beacon, and we had over 1,000 people in the field.
Right, and so you've got the workers out and about doing the work. Oh, there's Val.
There's
Morning.
Val, yes. Yes.
She's supervising, is she?
She does. She's very good at supervising. She's called the boss.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that.
And then Megan holds the umbrella.
Yeah.
And then Shane's one of the workers. He's provided all the gazebos in his van.
Perfect.
And he does a fantastic job.
Meg, when we were talking earlier on, I then got a text from my very, very dear friend Sybil Crowther.
Yes, funnily enough, my phone rang and I thought, who's that? I'll ring her back later. Very friend of mine for over 50 years.
Isn't it a small world?
It is indeed.
So you can't go anywhere without bumping into someone who knows Sybil. There you go. I'll tell you what I want to do as well. Come with me, Richard, because I want to show our people at home. If you're listening on the radio, you'll miss the delights of this a little bit. But when I pulled up this morning, I couldn't believe what a setup GB News had set up here. All this on our side, on this side, is all us. And it's not a bad little setup, is it? Is it quite nice for Codsall to sort of have a bit of media attention?
Of course, but actually it's not the first time we've had media attention.
Oh, right.
Because I think it was last year, it might have been 2 years ago, we were voted the best village in the country.
Were you really?
And there are lots of reasons for that.
Such as?
Well, we've got all the shops you could possibly want if you live here. We've got a railway station. We're within 5 minutes of the motorway network. We've got some nice little businesses, full employment round here, lots of people keen to join in the community. We have an arts festival every other year for 3 weeks, put on some great events. We have a summer show every year. We have a Christmas fair every year. We close the roads. This field and the whole village is absolutely packed. They come from all over the place.
I tell you what, because it's all part of the parish council, you must be a very busy bunch putting all these events on.
Well, we enjoy it. That's why we do it. It's good fun.
Oh, that's the word.
It's good fun. The parish council work hard. We've got a fantastic clerk. She's been a clerk here for many, many years, and she knows every side of it. She knows the health and safety. She knows the organisation, the paperwork, the people. She's great, Maxine.
See, what's nice about all of this is it does seem like you've got a real sense of community spirit here.
We have, and it shows. I'm hoping we'll see that later on. Midday, when it officially starts, I'm hoping we will get lots of people. And if you do talk to the people of Codsall, you will see what nice people they are.
Well, we know that already. Everybody brought me cake this morning. You don't get much better than that.
Oh, good. A sponge cake, I hope.
Yeah, Victoria sponge.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Look, what sort of a weekend have you found this? What's it been like for you to... I mean, you've got all the work that you've been doing, but to celebrate 70 years of Her Majesty?
Well, everybody you talk to is excited by the weekend. We were slightly worried because our grandson got married on Friday.
Oh, congratulations.
So we had to wear red, white and blue for that. It's been a fantastic weekend, starting on the Friday with lighting the beacon.
Yeah.
Lots of people here, good weather, warm weather, everybody in shirt sleeves. We had a really good turnout. Friday, as I say, we were away for a wedding, but we were here yesterday. You guys were setting up yesterday.
Yeah.
Lots of people were interested in that.
Good.
And now we've got today.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic day for you. This drizzle is going to stop, so it'll all be good. Richard, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Nice to be here. Nice to see you here.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't forget, we've got lots more coming here from Codsall for you throughout the day here on GB News. It's been an absolute joy to be here this morning. But for now, it's back to Anne.
Oh, Stephen, thank you so much. That's what we call in the business an outside broadcast, an OB. And it really comes to life when you walk and talk. It's just brilliant, meeting people, but walking around and seeing everything around you. Codsall does look like a fantastic place. But there are wonderful, brilliant places all up and down the country and all over the place, probably in other countries too, having a big Sunday lunch, maybe a barbecue or something like that, even despite the rain. So from Stephen and me, keep well. We'll be with you again next weekend. Until then, have a fantastic day, won't you, whatever you're doing. Bye-bye.
Looking ahead to today's weather, and the UK will be cloudy with outbreaks of thundery rain in central and southern areas, drier and brighter elsewhere. Here's the details. Southwest England will be rather cloudy, especially towards the northeast, with some showers at times. There'll also be some bright or sunny spells, these mainly in the west. It will remain mostly cloudy in the southeast, with showery rain becoming lighter and patchier. Some bright or sunny spells may also develop in the south. South Wales will also be mostly cloudy with hill fog in places. There will also be outbreaks of showery rain, which will tend to ease. It'll be a cool feeling day across the Midlands, and it will remain cloudy or overcast throughout. Outbreaks of heavy, at times thundery rain will ease and turn patchier from the south. The northeast of England will remain generally dry, although cloud will steadily increase from the south, with sunny spells in the north. A fresh easterly breeze will also limit temperatures along the coast. It'll be another fine day across southern Scotland. There'll be plenty of sunshine on offer here and remain dry for all, feeling pleasantly warm in the sunshine. Northern Ireland will also have a dry day. It'll be sunny here for most, with just a little bit of fair weather cloud at times, also feeling pleasant in the sunshine. So rain edging north and easing a little, drier to the north and south with sunny spells here. And that's how the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news